We sat over there.
Remember his wife? She was
Yeah.
his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be polite. Just go, go. You know?
Oh, what a fabulous
It's
group.
not a him, please, thank you. Who said killer? I should have.
Long time, huh?
Oh, I guess. I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, old fat, how are you?
Oh, Mr. Makey.
Yeah, you know.
Top of the green, my boy. That's the main thing.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, the purpose we're getting together today is a request by the Cultural Council to try to record some of these great stories that John keeps talking about but never writes down. So we tried different ways of getting people together, and it was always difficult with timing and so forth. But the idea is just to talk about the stories of Stowe's history. And I think the best way to start off is if we could just have each of you introduce yourselves. But let's start off with John.
Well, my name's John Makey, and I lived in Stowe all my life. I'm born up on Monkey Street, which is Taylor Road today. It was known as Monkey Street. There's too many people in town today know what Monkey Street is. And well, I haven't lived here all my life because I'm still alive, but well, that's about it, about all I got to say right now.
I'm Phil Anderson, and I was born in Stowe too, in 1931. I here in my grandfather's house on Great Road, and I lived here all of my life till I retired from work and moved down to Florida back in 1988.
You're active with the Lions.
Yes, I was a charter member of the Lions Club and the second president. Still there.
I'm Gene Dwinells. I was born in Stowe, actually born in Stowe, a house down on Crescent Street. Didn't go to the hospital in them days.
That's right.
Lived here all my life.
Well, Hatch, lived here most of my life. Born and brought up in Stowe, and moved away, and then came back and lived in Stowe the rest of. I don't know the exact date. Then my daughter figured I was getting old, so she took me to Lancaster, and that's where I live now, and she takes good care of me.
You know what, I could add on that. When this guy was in the service, I was riding my bike to school, and he was bumming a ride, so he pedaled me on my bicycle up to Stowe Center, right?
Yeah.
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 We could tell stories about L.B. Hatch. You got to tell a
Right.
story. We was walking down Crescent Street, Tony Larson, and I said, I got a loose tooth. He said, let me look at it. He reached up and he pulled that goddamn thing right out. He said, here.
Nobody knows what Tony Lawson is.
Oh, I guess not.
I do.
Yeah.
You know what Tony Larson.
Yeah.
Frankie would know.
Frankie knows what Tony Larson.
Oh, yes,
Oh, sure.
definitely.
In fact,
My name's Frank Jensen. I've been in Stowe next month 83 years. And I lived in 3 different places. And when I was a child, I lived on Great Road. Then I built a house on Riddick Road. At that time, I could buy land for $50 an acre. And I sold that and a 4-room house for $7,500. And then I moved up by the Bolton Line. I've been there ever since.
Back in those days, $50 got you a lot more than $50 does today.
Yeah. Well, I bought that land and built the house when I was making $1 an hour. Today, you can't do anything on $1 an hour.
I tried to get a cup of coffee.
That cost you $1.50.
Yeah. $1.35.
Throw a donut in.
Yeah, it's a big change since those days.
Frankie used to be a catcher for the baseball team. And when he retired from catching, he gave me his catcher's mitt, and I used that for quite a few years.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah. Remember, you gave me the mitt.
oh, for God's sake.
What'd you play, Elby? Outfield? What'd you play? Second base to outfield?
Yeah, left field.
Left field.
Wasn't Tommy Zander catch at one time, the town ball?
On the old town team, yes.
I
Yeah,
remember.
580's team.
You could hear him over to my house yelling.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
Oh,
They used to
yeah.
get there.
Huh?
Charlie Cowell would be playing croquet. You could hear him downtown yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And every 4th of July, a colored team
Yep.
from Boston would come out and play. And they would build an awful score, but then before the game would go over, they'd make sure they lost. And then after the game, they got a free meal down
Yeah,
at
they
town
come back
hall.
here. Yeah, they put a free meal on.
At the old town hall.
I remember Harold Priest when he was fire chief.
Oh,
Yeah.
He
the
came
land-
out of his yard, there was a fire next, I guess it was, you guys might have been in the service. Philly probably wasn't at the time, but I remember we was in high school, the parsonage had a fire next door. He had his Chevy car, and he said he was doing 70 up that road, and he hit that bump there, the whole Chevy lit. I saw it, lifted right off the ground, he landed on top of a hedge right out here, grabbed the CO2 extinguisher and run in the house with it. The car sat there. See him doing that today.
Yeah, somebody said that Freddie Warren, he was the captain of the fire department.
Yeah.
He said, Chief Priest drives too fast to the fires.
Yeah.
He said, well now, whether he's how fast he's going depends whether it's your house that's on fire or not.
And if you remember the names of the streets that were shown there?
Well, that's Crescent Street right there, and Library Hill Road.
Library Hill Road.
Down the hill, and the other one's a Common Road. I don't know what that little extension was there. On this side of that Library Hill Road, it might have been just a shortcut there, I don't know. That's all filled in today.
And there's the road called Library.
Library Hill Road actually starts at Crescent Street, and the layout, I think it's 55 feet wide, and actually starts and goes to the bottom of the hill, and then Gleasondale Road's there. And that, years ago, I think it was Gleasondale Road, right at the top of the hill, before they had a layout in there.
I never knew it had a name until they named it Library Hill.
I think it was, they called it way back as well, Gleasondale Road, I don't know, any Route 62. Look in the old
Gleasdale Road
records.
was never 62.
Huh?
Gleasdale Road was never 62.
Who?
Oh, yeah, Gleasondale Road?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah,
of
yeah.
117.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know when they
You are
stuck,
getting old, Frankie.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know when they stuck those numbers on Route 117 or 62. I don't know the date of that, but let's go back some.
And that building down on the common used to be the trolley stop.
Yeah.
The trolley has
Remember the
stopped
trolley?
coming up 4 years before I was born.
My wife drew
They
a
stopped
picture.
in 1920. He used to come up from Arlington Heights to Maine, to Clinton. They came right up through Stowe,
CM&H.
and they went out by the Kelly's farm because they couldn't climb the hill in Gleasondale.
Right. Went up to-
I was born in 62, right across from, the sawmill, John.
Who? The little farm?
No, the sawmill, the two boys that had the
Yeah, well, yeah.
sawmill.
Leslie's house.
Sanders.
Yeah, right across the
Well,
street.
they call it the little
That's where I
farm
was
now.
born, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Pugsley's house.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Pugsley lived in there. Was it after you people get out, or I remember them in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife drew a picture of the center of Stowe. It's hanging up in the library. Picture of the old building, the phone building there, that wind station, and it put the church in there. And I think she did it for the women's club. And it's still up in the hallway going upstairs.
I'm gonna have John talk about Ben Whitcomb.
Oh, yes.
You
yes,
guys all remember Frank Baker?
Get you on.
Oh, Frank Baker used to be our umpire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he couldn't see too well, could he? With that?
I never knew if he ever worked, but he always
He always had money.
money. And he used to come to our house to listen to the ball games on our old battery radio.
He's the one that had the cement building, a brick building, right on the road, on Great Road.
In the common, you know, the end of common on the
That's
right.
where
Sits
Frank,
right on the road.
Frank
The door
Baker.
come out right onto the road before they bricked it up.
Yeah,
And every Halloween, somebody would go down.
He used
keep
to wear
his outhouse
newspapers
on.
inside of his suit coat, to keep him warm. Remember that? An old newspaper, they'll keep you warm.
Oh, yeah, he always wrapped newspaper on, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he used to have on.
Warm, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
He used to get his water at the common, at the bubbler. Remember, he had a little,
Yes.
a little jug that, it's kind of a intelligent guy too,
Yeah.
right
I
down.
probably
I
went to
think
school
he
with him. He
was.
said he was on math. He was
What was that?
outstanding.
Frank
Yeah.
He
Baker?
was
Yeah.
good on math.
I don't remember him ever having the job.
His brother come to live in for a while. He worked for the highway.
Yeah,
He
Bill,
built a-
he was an engineer. He was out west somewhere. He was a steam engineer.
Yeah.
And he came run the town rollout for a while there,
Yeah, I
and he
remember.
died. Matter of fact, I got some of his steam engineer's books. Because I cleaned that house out when Frank sold it.
Yeah.
I don't know who, Alvin Fletcher maybe, he bought it. Somebody hired me, and boy, what a mess it was in there. Those newspapers, throwing them down, selling, were piled up the top of the stairs, I'll bet you.
Yeah.
And there was some good steam engineering books. They're kind of obsolete today, but I took them instead of taking them to the dump.
Yeah.
This probably is a nice thing to say, but you had to watch out when you walked by,
Yeah,
because he used to take the pea pot and
That's right.
throw it out the front door.
yeah.
He almost got me one day with it.
I heard he almost got some woman there too with it one day.
Would you say one?
I never saw him do it, but
Huh? Frank
Yeah,
Baker.
yeah.
you open the door and
Somebody else used to ask Johnny about it.
Oh, I've got to ask Mr. Mackey to tell a story about Ben Whitcomb.
well, I don't
I
know.
know John could tell the story better than,
Jeannie Dwinnell's probably could tell it too. Didn't your
Yeah, my grandmother remembered him as a
his
child.
grandmother used to sit in his lap? That
Yeah,
was something.
she said she used to
Yeah.
laugh. He lived up on Taylor Road, and he used to, somehow he got his brother's skull, I guess, and he used to ride through town, just all dressed up and stuff flowing out the back, ribbons all around him, riding
being
through
left
town.
around his neck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a little more. There's a book out. You can get it up to the Fruitlands Museum. That's where I got mine. Days of Delusion.
Yeah, it's in there.
Huh?
It's in
Sears.
that, yeah, it's in
Yeah,
there.
you've probably seen it,
Yeah.
written by Sears. And there was a religion going on eastern part of the United States, they say from Ohio.
The Millerites.
Millerite religion, and he was preaching the world was coming to an end on a couple of days in 1843 and 1844. And this guy up on Taylor Road, his name was Ben Whitcomb. I guess it kind of got to him. He was attending sermons there across the street from me. I think that's the place Holton lived in there. This is Holton on the road to Acton. And he was teaching this stuff, and it kind of got to him, and he'd take his brother's, or his horse, he kept one horse, two horses, kept one, so when the world comes to an end, he's going to heaven on one. And the other one he kept for daily use right around town, scaring people, I guess, with his brother's skull hung on his neck. And it also says in there that he went to a camp meeting in Sterling, and they locked him up. And he says, nothing wrong with me. He said, took him to Worcester Sane Asylum. Nothing wrong with me. He said, I'm just religious mad, that's all. They couldn't find anything wrong with him, so they sent him back to Stowe. he put the skull back on and back to riding again. And he lived up on Taylor Road. There's 2 houses there now. And the neighbors, I guess it was your grandfather, Gene,
Yeah.
Jerome Dwindles.
Yep.
They live up there then, did they, on
Yep.
Taylor Road?
Yep.
Well, they're the
They
ones that
lived in the
bought the
same
Whitman.
house they lived in the same house that Ben,
Yeah, he must have bought that from the estate.
well,
They went there one night and said he was kind of downcast, and
mm,
the next thing he went and he disappeared out of the kitchen. They went looking for him. The window was open. He went out back and hung
him and Life,
himself.
I think him and Life Cheney was with him.
Yeah,
They were
Life
supposed to
Tenney.
keep an eye on him.
Yeah, and do you remember Life Tenney? Oh, he was before your time.
That is before my time.
Yeah.
I remember his house.
Life Tenney up on Taylor Road. He died in 1933. Oh, my God.
Is that story
Son, look at
about,
me. Huh?
is that, I was wondering if that story about, oh God, now I can't forget his name. He lived on the West Acton Road, had a big farm, and he was a big heavy.
Auto gears.
Auto gears.
Yeah.
I heard a story that the Ku Klux Klan was having a meeting on the hill up by me. And,
Well, then they meet across on the Davidson land there on
well, what
Warren's
this,
Hill.
huh?
Warren's Hill there, but they
Or
went
was
on.
it there? I heard it was the other hill up by,
What about the old ball field, up by Packett's?
Yeah,
Oh.
Marble Hill, Marble
Marble
Hill.
Hill.
oh
Yeah.
yeah? Oh, I heard it was up by, anyways, he went up and,
We went around. So
he went up and tore the cross down, told him to get out of town, and they never came back.
Yeah, big enough.
Well, he was doing traffic duty down Stowe Center, Otto was, and so one guy hit him. And they took off for Hudson. Said Otto had an old Rio car.
Yes, yes,
Blue.
yeah, Bluebird.
The Bluebird.
Yeah, so he had the car in the bushes down there by the bridge, and he was standing on the guy when the kid showed up on the bicycle. And he just opened that door. He said he picked the guy up and threw him head first into the back seat and took him down. That's the
Yeah,
way
he
I
was
heard it. Guy that was there.
What a guy, Otto.
He's quite a big man, Otto.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
And then one day when they used to have the old traffic
Box,
cop, they call it,
Box used to stand up
the
there.
police
Right.
lieutenant,
Right.
and we had the blinker there.
Yeah.
Well, he'd put it between the blinker and Howdy Lewis's garage.
Yeah, down.
And he'd tell the cars they had to go around,
Who was that, Otto?
and him, no, Peter,
Oh,
the chief.
yeah.
And they couldn't get around very good because where it calls with gas pumps are right there.
Yeah,
So one day, and they had my father stand on the corner of the common,
yeah,
because my father could speak Danish.
yeah.
And a truck came up one day, went between him and the blinker, and hooked onto the spot that he was standing in and towed him down the road a few feet.
With
And,
Peter
oh,
in
he
it.
was gonna raise Cain. So my father told him, Peter, in Boston, they go around. Oh, he says, okay, from now on you stand in the box and I'll stand on the common.
Yeah, my uncle used to direct traffic down there.
Well,
He
when
used to invite us out, nice, he was a nice guy.
John Erickson.
Yep, he used to
John?
invite us out, and he'd
Tall,
have
he
us
was
stand in the
tall.
box with the little kids.
Tall guy. but
Yeah,
kinda
tall.
Yeah.
Well, I remember one day, in fact, I went in secret out. I had a cutout in my car underneath, tied up to the muffler, the exhaust, and it sounded just like the freight train came in. Well, Peter was up directing traffic, and I came and I pulled that thing out, and I, woo, woo, woo. Peter didn't know what to do. There was all the freight train coming through.
Whenever he took somebody to the common court, the judge used to stand up and say, "Good morning, Mr. Lawson." Because I went to, I was in the police association once, and we had a meeting up at the Bolton there, Lancaster, where the bad boys were.
Yeah.
And two fellas in front of me were talking. One says, "Who is that old policeman you got there in Stowe? Has a license, driver's license?" He said, "Well, this guy said, I don't know where these people are from." He said, "I'll tell you one thing. He's the only guy that when he goes to take somebody to court, that the judge stands up and says, 'Good morning, Mr. Larson.'" And he says, he knows the laws like you wouldn't believe. He
Right.
would
When the first
know
time,
the laws like that. Unbelievable.
first time I down to court, you could draw mileage, you were down your own car. I said, "How far is the store?" I said, "I don't know, this Madeline, she's been there for years and years." She said, "But I'll tell you how far is the store. It's 10 miles. I got an argument with Peter Larson, Chief Larson. And he said, "Madeline, go right up front of the courthouse. There's a big granite block there, says Stowe 10 miles. I said, "That is that argument."
So you got paid every time before you got in there, you know, really.
Yeah, he was a nice fella.
I heard there's two guys that dead though that lived in town. They had Model A Fords, and he was in his box one Sunday of the weekend down there. And he got up by the town hall here, top of the hill, and they took the Model A's and they gunned them down 117. They went both sides of the box.
Oh, gee.
Sounds like Bob Moore, one of the Moores, I think, was involved in one of that
It was
ones.
Dick Dudley
Dick-
and Bob Peterson.
Oh, okay. Different light.
Bob dead now, and the one, not the Peterson, Paul Peterson's son. Is he still living? You remember him?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
He worked on the highway.
He's not.
Yeah, I worked in the highway department. Oh, I haven't seen him
Yeah,
since.
did for years, I don't know.
I don't know where he went.
Yeah, another day we, the town team was playing ball, and Suchi, one of the tailor, had a coupe.
He was
a
another,
road seat.
he was another noisy
Yeah.
one.
He spotted Peter down the center. And he says, "Now, when I took the horn, everybody holler wave Peter and holler Peter." So he said, so we did. It was guys standing on the running board and sitting on the fenders and everything. And when Peter by the time he recognized all the people laying in the car, by the time he got his whistle out, we were down by Frank Baker's house.
But the Spud Eddie told me they used to dump some stuff in the carburetor down the garage, smoke him out of the box. You ever see that one? I hear it when you was a kid. He was telling me. He'd head home then, he says, making too much smoke. I gotta tune the car.
Well, remember old Paretti, and he had had the ball team and that?
Yeah.
He went around to the different businesses, and each uniform had a name on the back.
Yep, Central Garage and
Yep, Leary, and, oh, I forget who else was. Alexander Sidemill, I think, was on there.
Hit a home run, you get 5 gallons of gas.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to all chip in whatever money had for gasoline to ride around for the night.
I think I asked you, but I think you told me, I asked Frankie, who used to catch before you did? I asked you, you said
Harvey
Billy Bassett.
Guthrie.
Yeah, how Billy Bassett got too for a while.
Yeah, Harvey did.
Yeah.
And Harvey right now is in Vermont.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
got
yeah,
a farm
basically.
somewhere. Yeah, Harvey.
Where does he
I
live now?
had my class book.
Who, Harvey?
Yeah.
I think, he said Vermont.
Oh, is he up in
He has
Vermont?
a place up in Vermont.
Oh.
I think he lives in,
I thought it was Hubbardston.
Waldron. He lives in Waldron, Vermont,
Huh.
Oh, that's
right
his
next
place.
to Cabot. Not far from Hardwick.
When you played out there, and Jimmy Lund was there,
Yeah.
and, I remember playing up in, Southborough.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Lund hit the right hand ball right out of the park, out in the main road.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wally Wonder Taylor was,
Yeah.
he knocked, at the school, he knocked it from over into Peter Larson's, Appalachian.
Yep.
they said Buck Gallo has the fastest pitch you'd going, but you never know where it was gonna go.
And his
Oh.
son was the same thing. I was
young
catching.
Buck.
And,
Yeah,
Bug down.
he could
Yeah.
really throw it, but you had
yeah.
no idea where it was gonna go. He just couldn't control it.
They lived on Crescent
About
Street, didn't they,
6'2".
the Dowlands?
Dick
Yes,
down.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
down in,
yeah.
went to
Rio
Florida.
Level's lived.
Yeah, Riddle lived. I
Yes,
thought
yes,
so. I
yep, yep.
remember of them.
Yeah,
He married the Peterson girl and moved to, they moved to Florida with the mother.
Okay.
And there was Hanson next to him. He
Yeah.
had the
Yeah.
laundry business.
Wash
Hands,
He
hands.
picked up
Wash
the laundry.
Hanson.
Huh?
Wash Hanson used to call him.
Yeah.
Pick up washes.
Right, push up, wash and bring it down to Middlesex,
Yeah.
clean as a maid,
Yeah.
out by the horse and
Laundry,
buggy.
yeah, you take it down,
Yeah.
bring your laundry back. I like the big, heavy sacks, a little bitty guy.
Used to have an old, probably a 30-something car, had the freewheeling.
Essex, it was a, it
Yeah.
was a 28 Essex.
You'd give him one goose in the store here and shut everything down and pull the freewheel and he could coast all the way
Oh,
home.
I almost bought that car when he got rid of it. but-
Did you? Yeah.
You bought the old 34 Ford, right? Andy Larson?
No, I didn't have that. I had Robley, John Robley's 34.
Oh, I thought it was,
Yeah. Boys had fixed it up at about 100 horsepower engine in it. Remember that 34 had yellow wheels on it?
Oh, yeah.
And there was another one, Billy Erkinen bought the one Stein had up there. And he sold it and they rolled it over up Taylor Road one night. One of the kids flew out the door and sat there all night. There's no cars and
Yeah.
bus couldn't get through in the morning. Nobody got hurt.
well,
I can't remember the fella's name that used to own Erkinen's garage.
Buckley.
Huh?
Oh, Bill
Buckley.
Buckley. Yeah.
And if it was raining, in those days, you had to crank it yourself,
Yeah.
the gas. And if it was raining, they had to holler out the door, pump the old gas to get the heck out of here. He wouldn't come out in the rain.
but Jeannie had the best car. We used to call it the Bomber.
Oh, LaSalle.
Big old LaSalle.
1931 LaSalle,
With a power plant.
12-cylinder, 19-inch tires on it. And this thing was made of real steel. I mean, we could bounce off stone walls,
Okay.
off trees and that.
It was a deluxe. He had a cigarette lighter you could put right on the back seat where people light their cigarettes with.
Oh,
Gas
it was
everything but a
great.
gas station.
A little club coupe.
Didn't that belong to Sullivan, the well driller, at one time?
Yeah, then Bud Peck got it,
Oh,
and I got it off of Bud.
oh, okay.
But everybody seemed to learn how to drive on that.
Bomber.
We don't learn how to drive, right?
I used to leave it, if I was in the house, I'd leave the keys in it, so I'd come out, somebody bought it.
Yep. And then you had the old Indian motorcycle.
Yeah, not the long, it was too good.
My brother had a great big 80 Harley, and I went almost over the railroad bridge in South Acton. It came up off Reddick Road with kind of, and I was so short, I used to have to take and tip the motorcycle over, kick it up, and then gun. Well, I gunned it, went right across into that bridge. I bounced off the top of the wooden bridge, the motorcycle's up there spinning around. Little old lady helped me up, and then I had to get out there quick, 'cause I didn't want Mike Foley to
Mike
get
Foley,
me,
yeah.
the chief. He would have rode me home. And then when I brought the bike back to my brother, Erkin's garage, oh, did he kick me in the rear end. Oh! Cost me a few $100s to have it fixed up.
Yeah, he had a big bike there.
Yeah. He souped it up to, well, him and I were coming from Concord to Maynard, and a couple guys passed us with a coupe, and my brother took after him. We stopped in Maynard. The fella come back and said, "Do you know how fast we're going?" And my brother says, "Hell no, all I could do was hold on the steering wheel." He said they were doing almost 100 miles an hour. And I can remember when I told my brother, my elbows went out and almost pulled me right off the back of the bike.
You know Red Dan?
Huh?
You know Red Dan used to come into town?
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
He used to sleep in the barn next to your
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Clemence's, he'd
Yeah.
go up in there and
Right.
sleep, Jimmy said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I pulled him off the road many a night.
Put him in the ditch.
Riding the bicycle. Oh, yeah, I sleep right across the road.
Yeah,
Leave me alone, don't roll me.
Cookie rice,
They
too.
call him,
yeah, Skuggy Vice.
Dan Gannon, this is last said that he lived in Thompson's barn up there. And they used to push him off the bus down here.
Yeah, get him out the back.
Yeah, he'd crawl in back of the monument, go to sleep, and sometime he'd make it as far as my place, be in the driveway, across the road, or wherever he just happened to fall down.
Yeah.
And
then
Red Dan Gannon, and Bob Gray was telling me.
Did you have relations here in Stowe? Whatever brought him to Stowe?
Huh?
Did you have relations here in town?
I
Yeah,
have
used to
no
come to
idea, I
town,
didn't
man.
know him. He could swear, I know that.
did any of you guys know Jakey Legs?
I heard him, Jakey
He used
Lake.
to come up to me and he drank gin,
Yeah.
and he'd stop at the house.
He worked for C.D. Fletcher, they
And
said.
he wasn't drinking gin. What the heck was he taking? And
Grapes.
It was.
They made the stuff out
It
of
would
grapes.
burn your throat. And he'd stop and ask for a glass of water, and we'd bring home all a glass of water.
Your brother Arthur was telling me about him. He used to make a lean-to up back of the high school. I don't know if you remember it or not,
No.
but it was before your time.
Yeah.
He'd live in that all summer. He worked for Fletcher. And we used to go up and raise heck with him. I don't know who else hung with your brother Arthur.
B. Fletcher, probably.
Yeah, and we'd go tell Peter, the old guys up there, you leave him alone, he don't bother nobody.
Yeah.
And he was back at Harold Priest's house, the last end of it.
Mhm.
And I got some of his old gin bottles. Man, he was there. Jamaican gin. I don't know, was that cooking gin? I got the bottles still, I think. Imagine drinking that stuff. Huh?
Yeah, whatever this
Make your
guy was
legs shaky,
drinking,
huh?
he had to have to some water afterwards. I guess it burnt so bad going down. But we used to call him Jakey Lake.
Yeah.
But he never bothered anybody. He never bothered. He was
I
polite.
guess he was up in the logging camps in Maine, and he'd get rolled up there, and he'd hop a freight train and end up down here, and spend the summer, and then go back and for the winter, and same thing all over again.
He was always polite to the ladies.
I don't
Tipped
remember.
his hat
if I
to the
had a-
ladies. Never cussed or anything. He just asked for some water.
Remember Alice Lodge
Yeah, that's what I
Alice
heard,
Lodge
Frank.
always put the
That,
chair, the bench
guy
within
came
the
from Russia. His
waiting
name was
station down
Wuhan.
there up on the roof.
Oh, the roof, Halloween.
Every Halloween.
Yeah.
And they used to drink
Yeah.
whatever they could get, and it was usually made out of grapes.
Oh,
Like a wine, but, and that's what gave him the jape of the thing, 'cause he
Oh.
got jiggy legs.
and my father, I remember my father used to
Yeah.
make beer and root beer.
Well, beer.
When he made beer, he'd make us root beer.
Yeah,
And I remember one day they were making beer, and he had the thing to push down the cap, put the cap on.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this guy broke a couple of bottles. My father didn't care for that very well. So he took me and said, "Sonny, you put the caps on." So I was small and I could just get it about on. And then they'd keep it down cellar, and we'd be sitting there for supper, something, you had pop. Well, my father would get out of that chair and he'd be down that cellar so damn fast to get out before it all come
Oh, yeah.
over the bottle. And he used to have our root beer stay until they had a little kick to it. It didn't.
You know, I swear, in my grandfather's house on Great Road, he used to make wine out of grapes up and back,
Yeah.
and he'd bring it down the cellar, and one part of it didn't have cement for anything, and he'd bury it down there. And to my knowledge, as far as I know, it's still
Still there, huh?
Still
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ought to be good by now, but.
Yeah, yeah.
he lived in the next house down from you, your grandfather.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Then Gaudette's house is who?
That used to be Mary Jones, I mean.
Yeah, Mary, yeah.
Mrs. Jones owned it.
Mrs. Jones.
They always owned that, or was there some Erickson in there one time?
No.
She owned it.
Peterson was in there for a while.
Okay.
And she used to
They
tie,
rented it from Jones,
Oh,
and
Yeah.
then John Erickson.
she used to tie a green bag on a, right up against the horse's bum.
yeah.
So when it went to the bathroom, it'd go into the bag so that she could bring it home, put it in the garden.
Yeah.
Did your Uncle John have anything to do with the dairy he had worked someplace else?
Who?
Your Uncle John, did he work at the dairy with hands, did he?
No.
No, he worked someplace else.
He was a carpenter.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Picture. I drew a
Where
picture.
did he live? I remember of him, but
Yeah.
George. Erickson.
George Erickson?
George?
George Stokes?
No,
George
Erickson.
Erickson.
Yeah.
He lived with his father.
No, but afterwards. I remember seeing him around.
No, he moved into Winchester.
Oh, okay.
Heck is
When he was in the Coast Guard, he met Gint Addy.
it?
Scared the hell out of him.
Ken Addy was in charge of the Coast
Duffy's
Guard out
brother.
in New York. Oh, he big shot. He came in Boston one day to the place on, I don't know what street it was, but it was the main building for the Coast Guard. And here I was out there stationed, and I was only probably a petty officer, second class something. Well, Duffy Addy had told Kent Addy about me in there, and he called me in. I goes in there, and all this is hats on the gold braid and all that. And I said, Officer Ryanson reporting, and they said, well, what do you save yourself? I said, well, what? I wasn't scared, should have. And it's all was set up ahead of time between Dutton and Gint.
Gint, yeah.
Oh, gee.
Gint was around after he retired. He lived in town for
Yeah,
a
he lived on
while.
Red Acre Road for a while.
Yeah, and he disappeared.
Yeah.
He sold his house to George Schultz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
Secretary of State.
State.
Great Road. White Pine Road.
Yeah,
There was John Erickson's.
yeah.
Was it
Dennis
John
Hall.
Hall? And there were people up there by the name of Erickson too.
He,
But they
was
weren't
that
in
Alan?
relation.
Yeah, that was Alan Erickson. Remember Alan Erickson?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
That was his folks. They were carpenters. He was a
Yeah.
Finn.
Yeah.
But here was my house, then my grandfather's,
Yeah,
the dairy,
okay.
then Jones's.
Oh, okay, the dairy. I remember the garages out back, but I
Yeah,
don't
that's
remember the
where the
dairy.
dairy was, isn't it?
I don't remember the dairy there.
Yeah, it was in between. It
Yeah.
was a long building.
'Cause I remember when that was first built, I can remember that, getting ice cream there.
Oh, the ice cream down here.
Yeah,
It was in
the
there.
ice cream
Yeah.
place.
But,
Oh,
Erickson?
Henry Erickson used to live in this little white house.
Little house right in there, I
Right,
remember that.
something right next to John Erickson's.
Yeah.
Where Erickson Dairy is, that used to be a big gully. Because old man Dexter
Yeah.
used to go mow it. And I remember the horse could just barely get up that hill.
Wait, down where the dairy is and the ice cream?
Yeah,
shop?
that's all
No,
filled
no,
in land.
Well, on the back of John Erickson's house, it was like a sand pit almost.
Yeah.
And Henry Erickson's little house was out right next to that.
Yeah, they were real, big gully, big gully.
Ladies' home, yeah.
Well, that land must have gone with the Lent place there on the end of Hastings. Didn't your grandfather, didn't they used to live in that farm?
Yeah.
Yeah, way on the
Yeah,
on the end of Hastings Street. Now, I bet that land went way back originally,
He owned,
didn't include all that other land.
what the guy's the Samuel.
Malone owns
Malone.
it. Yeah, owns it now.
But-
Yeah, that was all owned by Lent
Hmm?
in my time.
Lent, yeah, it was
The
Lent.
Lent.
Yeah, that's where my grandfather sold it to.
Well, that's where he got started.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
And then, I don't know who bought the Aspen Heights off him, because he used to have cows up there.
Oh,
They used
okay,
to
the
raise
cow
cows.
was pasture.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
There
all.
must have been a lot of land with that farm at one time then. 'Cause
Yeah.
I kinda always thought that all the land that came to Great Road went with it, where
Still
Nelson lived
used to have
there,
a
and
lot of
Cornelius's
deer.
garages.
Right, all there. It was a Danish community,
Yeah.
it was all Danish.
Still had a lot of
You wanna
farms
read that
down
book,
there.
the Nielsenville
Right.
Road, I don't know if you did
Hey.
or not.
Tell him
I'll
what I
be-
heard about Ben Whitcomb, how he passed away.
Okay,
I'm gonna,
Huh?
to tell about Ben Whitcomb.
Yeah, I want to get back to Ben Whitcomb now. This is just what I heard, we call it hearsay. I don't know if it was true or not. But back in Ben Whitcomb's days, the Board of Selectmen were very, very powerful. And I think they're the same today if you delved into it. But the selectmen were very, very powerful. And they took Ben Whitcomb and they sent him to Worcester, to the state asylum.
Well, yeah.
Well, Ben was in there for a while, and they let him out. Well, Ben lived up where Eddie Erkinen lived, up on, what's the name of the road? Finn Road.
Yeah.
And he lived on the left-hand side. Well, one winter,
Street.
cold winter night, Ben went out in a pine tree there. Used to be a pine tree. And Ben hung himself. That's what I heard, it was the end of Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's,
Also, I heard, Albie, you probably heard the same thing too, or I might have read it somewhere, that he broke into the tomb in the cemetery down by your old house.
yeah,
And the Whitcomb lot in there,
Yeah,
the
right.
tomb, and he was sleeping in there with his brother.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you heard that.
yes,
Then he got his skull out,
yeah,
started riding around town with that. The selectmen didn't dare touch him because he was such a huge, powerful guy. They only wanted
Yeah.
to tackle him.
yeah,
And
right,
finally, they talked him out of putting the skull back and
yeah,
scaring everybody with it. And he
Yeah.
had beehives on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But you told me your grandmother used to sit in his lap.
When she was little, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was harmless, really.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you never heard
You know,
of
they,
anything.
that Erkinen farm, they raised hops there. Those three Whitcomb brothers, what I've been told.
yeah,
That farm, a good portion of it, you look at it today, some of the walls have been taken down, but it's all cut up in acre pieces. Where Billy Murphy's is all stone walls, and then you look at that, and there's all stone walls, and they raised hops there. He might have been drinking that hop juice too to get him a little cuckoo, you know. It'll do it.
About the old Edgar place, Wally come back one night, he was up in Worcester, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what the Duffy had to come to get him. He's sitting out front by the back of the trees. How you doing, Wally? He said, well, he said, I got a nice warm, clean bed to sleep in every night. He gets 3 good meals a day and don't have to work. Debbie said, who the hell's crazy here? I'm up 3 o'clock in the morning working.
And in school, he had real high grades.
Wally?
Mhm. Yep, he right up in the A's and B's.
I remember him and Butsy Peckler getting off the bus. They were probably, in the 5th grade and almost 16. And they put their books under the maple tree there in the high school lawn. And they go down Bummer Ride, going to Maynard. They set bowling pins for lamponing down there near the bowling alley. Butsy says, my father didn't care, as long as I got home at 2:30, time to get the cows in, start milking. He said, he don't ask you where you've been. And pretty soon, a week later, Peter Larson had come up. He said, you know, send the boy to school. He said, well, he get on the bus. And he should be somewhere, and goes somewhere. But they both, I remember Wally lighting his pipe up when he got off the bus. But he said we'd have to go to school for 3-4 hours and make a showing anyway. Was he about your age, Wally? Erkinen?
Your age?
Frank-
Well,
Frank-
yeah, he was around, yeah.
Yeah,
About
is
my
that your
yeah.
age?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wally be, you know, so
Yeah.
be around our age.
Well, a little younger, I
We're
think.
talking about Ellen.
Jakey was my,
Jakey,
Oh,
yeah.
Jakey,
Yeah,
yeah,
Jakey.
he's
Jake.
older.
Yeah.
Jakey was
Yeah.
probably of my age.
John, he was a twin to Jake.
Oh, Jakey
They
did?
found him out in Oregon. They found him out in Oregon, I guess.
Well, Hatchie, remember, I hired you one night, and I fired you the same night.
Yep. Oh, do I ever forget that one? Yeah, right, Bill, yeah, yes. Oh, yeah. Eddie,
I
you're
get that
fired.
picture there. World War II
Oh, yeah.
homecoming parade.
Yeah.
Well, I was a little kid when that was running through. But I figured when they ever stopped, the bus line.
Remember
'Cause
that,
that
remember
brick-
having
that
that big.
stone building down here used to be the bus stop.
There's
Remember
lights in
big-
that one time, weren't there? Weren't
Huh?
there lights in there, there's wires in there, remember? And there lights in there, Gene, Frank, in the old bus stop down here at one time.
Yeah.
There was an
Could've
old,
been.
there was an old pipe in there with
Yeah,
wires in it,
yeah,
but I
that's
don't
the
remember the
idea.
lights.
Yeah.
Well, somebody must have had lights there. Put them in there, you could turn them on if you wait for the bus, trolley.
And Lovell bus used to stop there.
Yeah.
Remember the old Lovell bus that had the big plow on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
the
all
big
the roads
diesel,
up.
it was a big diesel,
Yeah.
and a couple of his daughters could run it. Oh, man, could they plow.
They plow widen the route all the way to Leominster.
Yeah.
I can remember when, years back, when the WPA would have to go and shovel the tops of the snows off so that the plows could push the snow.
Yeah.
The trucks were so small in the old days.
And I can remember living on Great Road, and my father would say, "Uh-oh, I hear the horse coming," and a horse and buggy, but you couldn't see the driver. The driver was out.
There was
Like,
Skunky in the back.
That was Skunky Rice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they call it, his name was Arthur,
Yeah.
but he trapped skunks
I
and
got
skinned them
some,
and sold
I
the
got,
furs.
that's what I should have brought, I got some good
So
pictures
they
of him.
nicknamed him
Do you?
Skunky.
Yeah,
Oh, God, I see that.
taken in his yard, he's holding that three-legged calf he had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
he was a nice fella, but like you say, they'd get drunk down the main,
Yeah.
They
The
take
horse
them
on
off.
the way home.
put him in the back of the wagon and tell him, give the horse a slap on the behind, say, go home, and he'd bring him home, and then his wife would come out, pick him up, bring him in the house and put the horse away.
I got hit by a car down below my house one time.
Oh,
On
yeah?
the corner, way back, and knocked Skunky and the buggy over the wall.
Oh, yeah?
The horse went home, his wife wondered where Skunky was, the buggy was gone. They went looking for him, that's where he found it, it didn't hurt him any, he was upside down.
Yeah.
And,
Because you used to have a trap in the back of our yard
yeah,
when I was a kid.
you what, trapped?
Yeah, trap, skunk trap. He made them, they were made out of wood.
Yeah.
And when they,
God, you could smell
skunk
them
went
5
in
days
it.
after you went by.
and bit the bait, it closed. Then he'd come down, and I don't know how he killed it or anything, but he must have killed it somehow. And then he'd skin him and sell the furs.
You could smell him for a week after he went by the house, all the skunks. So he's
Oh, I know
kicking-
about that.
Yeah, kicking in the bag, he hadn't burlap bag, you had a skunk in your cellar, you come after it, you call
Oh,
him
yeah.
up.
Well, I had one right in my solid window. I ran in the house, got my father's shotgun, shot the damn thing, and went right through the window. Oh, boy. And I can chill. And I was stunk for about a week.
Andy Larson, because he used to chauffeur old Peter around, his
That's
son
right.
did all the
Yeah.
time, and he was telling me here, before he died, and he said they got a call from Erickson. Erickson used to pick a skunky had milk and cows up there, and they pick up the milk, but one morning there was no milk out there, so he thought something was wrong. So he called Peter, and no milk. So we went up. He said the horse was in the barn, it was hung up on the door. The wagon was. Door wasn't locked in the house, and he's upstairs in bed. He had a couple of fur coats on him, blankets, quilts, and what had happened, his head had been hitting the wagon wheel coming home. His ear was swollen up like that. And his wife had gone to California because he had a daughter in California, another daughter. I don't know if you know her.
No, I didn't.
There was a Marion, the one that lived in Maine, and her name was Irene. I never seen it, but anyway, there was nobody home. The old gent said, "Get out of bed." He said, "Go milk your cows." They're looking for the milk. "Yeah, but I hurt." He said, "Never mind." He said, "Go to bed after get them cows milk." I don't know how many cows he had or anything, but he was in awful shape. Imagine hitting your head on that wagon wheel. You probably never felt anything.
Okay, I got a question now, and I've had two answers. Now, Monkey Street
Yeah.
got nicknamed Monkey Street because there was a family up on that street that had several kids. And every time you went up there, the kids would be in the trees. And some old timer told me that's why they nicknamed it Monkey Street. Because the kids would always be in these trees every time you went up.
So I heard an old sea captain up there, and he had a monkey for a pet. Used to
Oh, yeah.
live there.
But somehow it had,
Your father was born up there too. I guess you
Yes,
was telling me one
yeah.
time, because I was hauling wood from him, from up in the wood lot.
Oh, yeah.
He said there was a house there up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
And he said it was a big old salt box house, a lot of windows in front. Every time somebody would go by, there'd be a kid for every window looking out at you. And I said, "Look at all the monkeys, you know." And so he told me, he said he didn't know why. My grandmother, he said, told me it was Monkey Street back then, so.
Yeah.
A lot of stories, but we got mail like somewhere in the house, still in a box. We lived up there. Envelope, it says 104 Monkey Street on it. 'Cause the mail used to come through West Acton then. Warren Haywood. Remember him?
Joe
Yeah,
Schwartz,
right.
yeah, for years,
Yeah, and it was 104 Monkey Street, and I think it said West Acton on instead of Stowe. But anyway, that was the address.
Well, remember they used to close off Monkey Street till we go sliding?
Sliding, yeah.
oh, God, yes, slide all
Somebody
the way
slide
down the road.
down, somebody have a car down the end and tow us back up again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they closed the road off.
Did the Newsham brothers make that toboggan, that
So
bobsled?
that- I remember.
Well, that, I
It
had
was a
that
big
Bob,
one.
Bob Patterson built that.
Oh, was
I
it?
got off of Bob Patterson, I was in the merchant marine there, and you guys used to borrow it.
Oh, yeah, it was a big one, that thing.
Lum, was it Lum, or somebody had, right here across the street where the pillars are in the house, there was a big bobsled sitting in there.
You used to have one right up here, yeah. Newsham's, you used to go down that.
Down there hill,
This
yeah.
was
Yeah.
bigger than the one he had, and I got a hold of it through Colby when they moved in there, and fixed it up, and I sold it to Louis Baskey in Maynard. He'd buy you this if you had it. So, oh, Dudley.
Hey,
Hey, Roy.
what time you got here?
Jesus, now we gotta stop talking about you, Roy.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
It's all recorded too.
Hey, boy.
Archie,
How are you,
how you
boy?
doing?
Top of the green.
Sorry I'm late, I had to go down to the hospital. They brought my cousin down.
Jesus. What happened?
I don't know, she's got a little problem, I guess, so.
Ethel.
So the daughter called me late last night from down in Delaware and said, would you go down and check on her? I said, well, okay, I'm gonna be in Concord anyway, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went down, but they moved her into another room now,
Yeah,
so.
that's too bad.
How's this, Ethel Room?
Ethel.
Huh? What's the last name?
Nichols.
Nichols, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, she's.
I haven't seen her around lately. She's not too,
Nah,
So well,
well,
huh?
she's 91, so.
Yeah,
Is she?
She was living down in the
Wow.
house,
Down at Meeting House.
yeah, Meeting House Street, yeah, yeah.
Now, is there twin sisters still living?
No,
Yes.
Frank
Matter of fact, she
Smelson.
was there, I don't know if she's still there today, but.
That's what we just talked about. How about
Oh,
Bob?
yeah.
He'd be 100, no, what, this.
Is he still alive?
Bobby?
Yeah.
No, no,
nothing
Bobby
wrong with
died.
him.
Did he?
Yeah.
As long as the booth's still.
Johnny, you just asked
How
about
we
Bobby.
doing?
Bobby who?
Bobby,
and everything. Peterson.
Peterson.
And whatever happened to him?
Did he?
He died.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he was a
Isn't
brother,
like
yeah.
Huh?
He was a brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to him? He died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did he live the last end of it? I hadn't seen.
Fitchburg.
Oh, okay.
By his sister, your other sister lives up there too.
Yeah.
Oh. No, Ethel's got a twin sister? Where does she live?
Got
She's
twins.
in Bill Recker.
Oh,
Yeah. They're all over.
I was wondering what happened to Bob. I haven't seen him for
No,
40 years.
No, he's been crippled for years.
What happened to him?
I don't know, that rheumatoid arthritis or something.
Geez, he was a healthy guy when I remember. Yeah.
Does anybody know what kind of a mill it used to be in the swimming hole down there in Bradley Lane?
There was a sawmill.
There used to be a mill there,
There was a sawmill.
Mill?
years and years and years and years ago,
C.D. Fletcher?
Mill.
because there was
I guess
steps.
he bought it
There
later.
was a sawmill on
Conant Mill.
Conant.
Coleman.
Yeah, and I've got an old newspaper article at home that tells about C.D. Fletcher's brother. What the heck was his name? He came from out west, he was an older brother, and he tells about what was left of that mill. This was in the early 30s. There was an old shaft in there. You can see some of the old rock
Well-
timbers yet.
There was, there was steps going down from the bridge
Yeah,
down in.
yeah.
Should be a foundation went around like that.
Yeah,
And that's
That's an ideal
the
place to
land
have a
part
mill
used
right
to
in.
dive off in there.
yeah, that's what Jerry
That must have
Henderson's.
been, that must
Yeah,
have been,
it
quite
was
a- must have been quite a pond to the right of that mill where the bridge is. I mean, that's all a dam in there, actually. It's been let go.
Up, if you went to the right of the bridge,
Yeah.
way up, there's a good sized pond up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, that must have been all a big
The
pond,
bowling
you know?
place.
That's right. That was the first, one. Then they moved down to there. Yeah, I remember. I was just a little kid then. Used to
And
steal and get
because
no beer.
old Mr. Dexter, you'd be just,
Probably
put-
interfering with the camera,
you just going
the
to,
monitor.
Oh.
he's just going to put on your pants and he, old man
We're
Dexter
still
takes some of
patients
that
with the people.
black mud, slap you.
If
Then
you
you have to
walked
go
up-
back and get washed up again.
If you
That's
walked
written up in
yes,
Stowe
that's
history, the
right.
old way back, that
It's right along
Conant
the edge.
sawmill.
You walk up in the King's Cove and there's
Yep,
steps coming down from the, it's all leveled off and there's steps coming right down to the river. And right, and there's a well. It used to, you could tell it used to be a well there. But what was there, I have no idea. But I seen it when we were down.
that was
The
on the,
steps go right down and it's all flat up on top.
that was right off of Crow Point, right?
I
Or was
don't
it further
know.
up?
I looked for remnants or something, but I never found nothing. And Wally Rising and we both looked, and we looked pretty good over there, but we could never find nothing but just the steps going down to the river. That's all. But there was something there, a house or whatever.
You know, God, there's been a lot of small houses like in there
Yeah.
years ago.
It could be,
Yeah,
yeah.
wasn't it one time that place got camps or something?
Yeah, small camps in
Small
there.
camps down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Assabet Lodge, is that what it was called?
Right,
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah.
The guy moved all the stuff, he hired Milt Wheeler with his truck to move a whole bunch of his junk up to where he grabbed from someplace. He
What was
moved
his
to
name? Moss, the last
Moss,
end of it.
yes,
you know?
Moss, yeah.
Last name, I forget his first name. He lived in a little trailer there next to Wally's.
Yes.
You had sugar and beans, and you come down to the dairy and get
Moss was a
coffee ice cream.
What was his
Right,
name?
yeah.
I can't think of it.
Yeah.
He was one of the original owners, I think, of the place.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the places is where Beverly is up in Marlboro.
Is that right, yeah?
The camp, we
Oh,
took
okay.
that camp, one of the
Yes,
camps.
yes, Howdy bought it, moved it up there.
He had the Model A record, because I was riding with him. He
Right.
took it in sections and took it up to Marlboro.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember when he took that down. they must have sold a bunch of them. There was a dance hall there, but I don't remember it. The chimney was there. You guys remember the dance hall there?
I don't remember the
Yeah.
dance hall, but I remember the chimney. But
Yeah.
Dance hall, like, boom.
I never-
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah.
People over there. But, yeah.
Yeah, the old town has changed.
Oh, no. No. Why? What gives you that idea?
Well, you can't sit on the porch anymore and wait 2 hours for a car to go by.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Which
we
you can't do.
used to sit down and what I call it, playing for diddling. You saw a car with one light come by, you saw it first, you got to kiss the girl. You saw it first, you guess you got to slug you, I guess, I don't know. Christ, you wait forever. Well,
And
God, they
also,
don't like
also
that
we
one
used to be
light.
able to walk down to Erickson's because there was no traffic. The oldest kid would be able to take a whole bunch of us all down there to get the ice cream.
I can remember skating all the way down to the river in Maine, on the main road.
Yeah.
Hey, can you remember when Franny Warren pasteurized his milk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pasteurized.
Yeah.
Oh, remember Erickson got the pasteurizer,
Yeah.
and they passed a law that
Yeah.
You had to do it, yeah.
and then
Yeah.
He bought,
Franny pasteurized
He
it.
There was
bought-
Nelson on Taylor Road at that farm. He used to
Yeah.
peddle milk too all
Yeah.
over the
well,
place.
Freddie bought his pasteurizer.
Did he?
Yeah.
And Chris Stelson's.
that was Lau Nelson.
Huh?
Lau
That was
Nelson.
Lyle, but the father's name was Chris.
Roger's father.
Christian.
Remember the cream?
Yeah.
Of
Oh,
wood, the
God.
pond?
Oh, yeah.
Not the one
Smitty's.
that people would fall to be pushed
Yeah.
out right up and got to get the money.
Well, the Smiths used to have cows. And
Smith
they
did,
were
yeah.
almost a half a quart of cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Lowell Nelson didn't pasteurize up there. He must have done business with somebody like the Co-op in Maine. And they'd bring somebody
did.
quarts of milk and they'd give him somebody quarts of pasteurized milk.
Yeah.
A lot of the farmers did that. They had their own
In
group.
fact, it was Maple Chris.
Was it Maple Crest? That's where he
Yeah.
went?
I think I still got one of those bottles.
Johnny, you're the highway superintendent, had a lot of stories of how no name got its mode, its name.
Name.
What I did, Joey Backley told me, he was working right there, that's what do you call it? And he says, I was working here with the county engineer. I said, Backley, how did you get the no name road? He said, I was here with the engineer. And the engineer says, Backley, what's the name of this road runs from here down to Gardner? He said,
Yeah.
well, it has no name.
Yeah.
He said, well, it does now. He put it down. That's what Backley told me. You heard that?
I heard that.
Yeah.
I can't add to it, but I remember ordering a street sign for it. And the girl on the other end of the line says, would you give me the name of the road? I says, no name. She thought I was
It's
wacky.
about it.
Is this the highway department? I said, yeah, this is the highway.
I don't know.
What's going on up there? I said, what's the name of the road? I said, no name. Well, how do you spell it? So I spell it as capital N-O and so forth. And, well, I'll send one out. I said, send two, it's got another N to it. And, she probably thought we were wacky out there. I said, you'll get paid for it.
We had some place that the telephone company needed, but hell, there's no telephones out there, nobody lived out there.
There was no houses
No
there.
houses out there, there's no telephone lines. I'm not too sure there's any out there
Well,
now.
the town put street signs up in the late 50s, and that might have been about the time this all happened, because they had to get something on the signpost. And this Taylor Road, I always thought it went that way to Harvard Road, but it goes out to the town line.
Yeah.
And you got a Ghana Road in there.
Yep.
I don't know where that got named.
Yeah, with the cranberry bogs.
Yeah.
Then Harvard Road goes into Harvard, and it's Finn Road in Harvard. And Henry Oja, there was only one farm on that road years ago, the Oja farm. And he used to get after him. He said, how about bringing the Finn some gravel so I can get my milk out? So he told me the story himself, that when they named the roads in Harvard, put street signs up, they put Finn Road on it. So that was the only place on it at the time. Now it's all, I've told that to people who lived on it. Huh? And I remember the Rantoul Chicken Farm, Jane, on Stowe Road in Harvard, the old Gableson place? Remember the old Gableson
Yeah,
place?
yeah.
After Gableson sold it,
Yeah.
they had chickens in there. There was a pretty good sized barn there. Guys probably know where that is anyway. And there's a mailbox out of the Ranto Chicken Farm. One day, this elderly gentleman come to the house. I was out in the yard. He said, "I want Stowe Road and Stowe. Where is it?" I said, "We don't have one." "Yes, you do." He had the Hampshire plates. And I say, he named all the towns that had one. He said, "I'm looking for Rantoul Chicken Farm on Stowe Road and Stowe." I said, "I know where that is, and I can't think right now," but I said, "There's no Stowe Road." And, well, he threw his hands up. He says, "You're the third person I asked, and no one knows anything around here." I said, "I'll tell you something." I said, "We may be dumb, but we're not lost." He took off.
Yeah, why is
Then
that?
I happened to think where it was. I said, heck, go, why don't you go look at it? But it was the old Gableson place. You know where that is.
Yeah.
Trying to place it.
Huh?
I can't place it.
My brother-in-law was a Gableson, but he come from Harvard.
Yeah, I think he was one of the sons, but there's a Gableson farm. You know where your brother-in-law lived on the corner. You come back this
Yeah,
way
yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit, an old farmhouse on the right.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It's built like your father's place down here, something.
Yeah.
Still there today. I think the barn is gone. They raised a few chickens, the new owners there. It wasn't Gableson anymore, and they had a mailbox. And I couldn't think, I've seen it, you know. Yeah, New Hampshire, he's from New Hampshire. Let that go, look for it. Gotta find Stowe Road, Stowe first.
Yeah, there you go.
And, oh, did he argue with me? "That's what I've got here." I said, "Well, hang on to it."
Tell you what, who was the governor, governor of Vermont? He was a friend of his, he lived on,
Salmon?
Salmon.
He's a good friend of
Salmon,
his.
salmon.
yeah, Salmon.
Him.
I was at a campground up in Vermont. The guy says, "You come from Vermont?" He says, "You know where West Acton is?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I live right next door." I said, "Where do you come?" I said, "Stowe, that's where your governor comes from." He says, "Well, I guess you should have kept that son of a bitch back there." Should. I said, "Whoops, I got no time apology with this guy." He became a judge after that, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he came as the president of the University of
Was
Vermont.
he? Oh.
University of Vermont, that's the last thing he had. Last job, I think. I think he's got a law firm up there.
Didn't he
still,
come to
ain't
visit you one day with his governor with a whole bunch of state troopers wheeling to the town down there to visit you?
I wasn't there. Albie met him, I think. Didn't he come looking for me?
Dickie,
What's that?
Dickie,
Not Dickie, but
not
Tommy.
Dickie,
Tommy
Tommy
Salmon.
Tommy Salmon, used to be the governor of Vermont.
Yeah,
Did he stop to visit you at the graduate?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was on, Pine Point.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Dickie's back in
Yeah.
town.
Right.
He married Smelter, didn't he?
Yeah, they're
But
separate.
they're separated too.
Or did they?
But he said, I used to date her, and he said, I had to bring the fifth of whiskey every time you take the car
old
out.
man.
Yeah, he said, you gotta keep the old man happy. Be gone by the time.
But Tommy Salmon was best man at Fetty and Billy's.
Oh, was he?
wedding.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I see Eddie Lally died from Maine. It was in the
Maybe
paper.
Lobby, sure, yeah.
Yesterday, in the Worcester paper. He worked for the state. didn't
Yeah, I
he?
used to work with the crew I worked with,
Yeah.
you know, the conservation.
I forget where he was living, not in Maine, I don't
Yeah.
think.
It was someone that came in under Maynard.
Hmm?
It was listed under Maynard,
Oh, did you see it?
yeah.
Yeah. Was it listed under Maine? He didn't
Yeah.
live there, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Why did Monkey Street change its name?
Well, it sounded a little better, I suppose.
Who named it
Yeah.
Taylor Road?
Come to the town building and says, geez, I'm looking at Monkey Street. Well, you know, what would you think if you were a stranger coming into town? And,
The
looking
people
for
up there
Monkey
thought they were
Street.
monkeys, so they wanted to get it changed, so.
And,
There's no
A
name.
lot of them
Said
still.
no name is still there today. There's
Right.
houses on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that road was probably built just for a shortcut for horses through between the other two years and years ago.
Yeah.
He had a garage there.
Yeah, yeah.
And she had a little house in back there. It's on the way to Clinton there, you go by the restaurant, what's the real stop?
Yeah, he was quite the mechanic, you know. He used to be up there, but you know, one time they go take his car and take it to the Post Road Auto over there. They're gonna buy it, right? So he gets it up the street. The Dick goes over to pick him up, right? Goes up the street. He's taking the battery and taking everything out of the car. He pushed it down into the yard. The guy comes out and says, "Oh, it's right here." He says, "Give me my money." He left the car and get everything out of it. He was like it.
There's a mechanic down to his brother's down the Bill's place.
Yeah.
They couldn't keep him, but he's all greasy, climbing
yeah,
the
he
new
was-
cars.
he
He
was
just climb
different.
right in there, take a carburetor out of one and
Yeah.
put it in there. Yeah, that works. That runs fine.
He was something else. And then he used to take grain and stuff and put it to the rear ends of the car so it wouldn't make so much noise.
I was up at the old farmhouse there one time, a big long kitchen in the
Yeah,
back
right,
there.
yeah.
He's doing a valve job on a Chevy engine on the kitchen sink on the side there, yeah.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, it was
And
good.
Jakey, and the mother taking care of the cows, milking the cow. Jakey's doing a valve job. It's like, what, cold winter day, why can't we do it outside? You're right in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Warm.
That was quite the farm, that.
Yeah.
That big old house. Well, it's still there, so.
John,
Huh?
got one for you.
Uh-oh, watch this one.
I don't know, it's the Erkinen farm. Somebody was mowing, and somehow the horse ran away with him, and he got killed up there, and they put a stone, somebody put a stone, and they put the guy's name on it, and here lies, or I don't know if he was buried there or not, but that's where he died, right there, mowing the grass or something.
Everyone's old
Well,
place.
this actually, I think this is a little different. This was just found in the last 10 years,
Yeah.
this stone.
Yeah,
And you know where the ash lines lived, up on Taylor Road, there's a stone wall goes right in,
yeah,
and there's a swamp right this side of it, like
Yeah.
a penny place. Nobody ever went in there. Then we put a new culvert in, and
yeah,
Eddie dug those ditches out up back.
Yeah.
And the guy that lives in Ashline's house called me up one day, it's about 10 years ago, and over the embankment, about 200 feet, up the little brook that goes up there, there's a flat stone there. Probably got a picture of it here somewhere. This is the place where Moody Tenney dropped down a mowing August 10th, 1848, age 69 years. That's what it says. It's all carved in that stone. Stone is probably as long as this and as wide and that thick. And it's laying right by the brook. It's on town property. And somebody in town asked me, "Did you find his mowing machine?" I
yeah.
said, "I don't think they had mowing machines back there. The side, they'd grab that."
Yeah.
So what's that? I said, well, that's a story in itself, but Mabel Carver was still living at the time.
Yeah.
She was about 104, maybe 100 and something. She was up to Whitney Homestead. I wanted to ask, because the Tennies, they were related to the Tennies. I never knew that, but that was my great uncle or something, at Moody Tenney. He's buried over in Hillside Cemetery,
Yeah.
right on the right as you go in the gate.
Yeah, well,
So this guy found it. Said he was sitting on it, and he kept looking at it. Somebody had carved into it, kind of crude carving. You have to take a piece of chalk with you to
Yeah.
read it. Gordon Carvel came out, and somehow I got word to him. He came in the house, and we went up there, and he took several pictures of it. And sent me a couple of them from Colorado, I think he lives. And he's the genealogist of the Stowe and Tenney family.
Who is he? Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go to school with him, Gene?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's an article about that in the Stowe Independent also.
Yeah. I gave you some pictures of that.
Yeah.
The historical commission went up there and took some pictures.
Yeah.
And one of the women and girls with us has poison ivy up to your knees up there. She's got, I think, shots on her dress, and she's walking through it. I said, "You're gonna have poison ivy." And So how do you get rid of it? I said, you get some of that old, what's that old Fells Naphtha soap?
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
soak yourself down when you get home. Have a shower, good hot shower. I said, that'll take your skin off and you won't get.
I was on vacation someplace, well, Phil snapped the soap, and my wife happened to see the little drip. The gas tank was leaking, so go in the garage and suddenly a young kid come out, he said, geez, I had a tow hitch on it, I had to cut your hitch off, and then the old timer comes out. He said, you heading for home? I said, yeah. He said, I'll fix it. He went and got a pound of Neptune soap, cut a bunk off, cast it on there. Right, and to the day I sold it, I never took it off. Just sit up there, this is hard, the gas didn't leak through it.
That was good stuff, that Fells Naphtha soap we had, poison ivy.
Yeah.
Can you buy that anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think it's still.
That's
around.
probably the story that you heard, Al, about the guy falling off the motoring. I had never heard any other, but that's,
What was that?
you just telling about somebody, you thought somebody fell off a mowing machine. And-
Oh, yeah,
That's-
well,
I think
I didn't know, John, I just heard
Yeah, you
about the
heard that, that's
stone,
probably
I
the
figured-
same stone, you know?
Yeah,
Oh,
a
like-
horse ran away with him or something, and
All right, now we get a question to ask. Is that Matthew Boone
Yeah,
that's buried over in Lake Boone?
yeah.
Is that actually Daniel Boone's brother or not?
I don't know.
Some say it is and some say it isn't.
He'd know more about
He's
it.
not buried there, it's a monument to where
yeah,
his
mine,
cabin was.
that's right.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah, that was-
killed by the Indians, and there's no
Yeah.
recollection of where his body, where he was ever buried.
Yeah, right.
Back should be where the Red Slough was, where he was caught.
Yeah, yeah,
Some people, they where you could caught.
down near the Mason place.
There's
Yeah,
a-
nobody.
There's a person with him, Plimpton, and he's buried in Sudbury,
Yeah.
but nobody has any knowledge about
Yeah.
where Boone was buried.
Up on,
But it was actually Boone's, Daniel's brother? Was he?
Daniel Boone? No,
No.
no relation,
That's,
it's
uh,
spelled
John is-
differently too.
We always
one of the
thought
old
it
timers
was.
buried up by Ralph Stiles is up there.
Well, it's the same thing, that's one of the, what was his name, Kettle or something?
Yeah,
They-
Kettle.
That was the same time, they took his wife prisoner or something,
Yeah,
and they got a monument there, same as the one over in Lake
Okay,
Boone.
but he wasn't buried there.
No.
No, just a monument.
Both of them are just monuments. The
I don't know.
Historical
Lancaster-
Society did that some years ago.
Lancaster comes in on, I don't know, that must have been the Lancaster line there at that time, because that, Lancaster was one of the largest towns in Worcester County. It was 160 square miles at one time, something like that, Lancaster.
Oh, yeah.
Because it included Leominster, Sterling, part of the Boylston, all of Clinton,
Yeah.
and Lunenburg, and I got a book on Lancaster.
Well, Stowe was pretty big back in the
Yeah,
old
the
days.
Stowe was the 50th
Yeah, right
Right down the
town.
main center.
Stowe was the 50th town that was founded after the inland town. They Concord was the first one, and Stowe was the 15th.
Yeah.
Now, a few years ago, this retired professor from Harvard came out. I hope, I haven't seen it, he's come to the house. Name was Moss Payne. He taught architecture at Harvard. And he had, in fact, I got some of his maps at home. He could tell you name a town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, he'd tell you who settled it and when it was settled, what the original
right.
boundary was. That was his thing when he got retired. He was searching these towns and drawing maps of them. And he went through old records and he found, starting in Low Compton, Rhode Island, he had a line, it went to Lake Winnipesaukee, comes right through Stowe. That was the westerly line of the Mass Bay Colony back in 1623. He drew that out, and back of my house, the end of the orchard, there's a big pile of stone there, across from Walkup's house, and it's shaped like this. It's 6 feet high, probably 20 feet long. That is 10,000 feet from Crow Island, because that was the central point of the survey. And they went in the heart from there, but they took sailing ships and went around Cape Cod and surveyed that line. And partway, what's that town there? It's in Massachusetts, I can't think of it. I've been there. The other, the Plymouth and the Mass Bay Colony line comes into it there. And they got a monument there. It was put there in 1700 sometime. There's a case around it. And this line comes through it. And I told him, I said, don't go to Lake Winnipesaukee. I said, it's a little off, because I took a map. He said, well, that's the big name, that's why I always say that. He said, you're right. And he said, I went to the Corps of Engineers in Washington, and I wanted to know where magnetic north was in 1623, and they couldn't tell me. And he said, I figured that out on a dance floor or something. I took maps out, calculated everything, and it's fluctuated a couple degrees since to today, I guess. It's different than it was then. You put a compass on that pile of stone in back of my house, it's 2 degrees off of magnetic north. And I got pictures of it. He's been there with me. He took me down in Holliston and down through there, and there's markers down there yet. So he followed that line all the way to New Hampshire. And it's not Lake Winnipesaukee, but it's close to it. And heck of a nice guy. I mean, you just love doing this stuff.
What do they call a stone leg? Just a stone leg? Did it have a?
Yeah, we found a monument up in Box Road through, well, he was on it, and Don Moss is on Ben Moss's land. And they dug a water hole up there years ago. You go down a little further, you come to 495, there's a monument there. It's almost like a piece of coal sticking in this black, if I remember right. And Don Moss thinks that is one of the boundaries of the Stowe Lake. Yeah, that goes out to Shirley.
Okay.
You don't know whether it's the low one or the high one, because it was, what, about a mile wide and 10 miles long. And I know where that is. There's another pile of stone up in Boxford in the woods, and I think that's 20,000 feet from Crow Island. You calculated on the map. And they're pretty well in place. And there's supposed to have been a mark on Crow Island, some kind of a mark. I asked George Murray about it. Took a couple load of gravel out of there. And,
Where the marker is.
well, he's interested in history like this. I wouldn't have destroyed it if he said there was all kinds of different markers, you know, what you'd call a mark or a pile of stone. I would have destroyed it if I knew it.
Yeah.
But it's gone now. But that was the central point of this, according to him. I mean, if you believe him, and everything fits into place on the maps. They ran that line, there was a settlement, which is Hingham, west of Cusset. You look on the road map, there's a straight line on towns that comes right to the Rhode Island border. That's that Mass, the Plymouth colony line. It's on the road maps, you see it today, and they use that. He's figured all this, calculated all this stuff out. I haven't talked to him for about 5 years. I know he was up in his 80s then.
All right.
He's from Lincoln.
Yeah.
She knows him, she told me. Very interesting guy.
Okay. And probably.
Retired from Harvard University.
Just.
And, taught architecture.
They're gonna copy that.
And,
Okay.
nice guy. Let's go out in the woods, get bit by mosquitoes. I said, well, you go out there, get bit, I'll go with you.
Julie usually gets it copied.
Does anybody know much about the gas ball?
Let's see if any.
Yeah.
I'm looking for pictures of it.
Oh, God.
Huh?
Didn't there used to be postcards around with a
Yeah,
picture?
I think
Yeah,
there was.
years ago.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Didn't it say Stowe Country Club on it or something?
They had a sign by that, just to go down.
Yeah.
Right.
But besides, I never saw a sign on the ball.
No, not on the ball. That'd be good advertising.
I don't care what they did to that ball, they got ready to cut up, the guy that climbed up there with a torch, he started to cut that.
There's nothing in it.
Remember we went in a fire that?
Yes,
Similar,
yeah.
and it took us
But they
almost all
come by.
day, because we couldn't shut the gas off.
Yeah.
Guy
We're
comes
just keeping
down,
the
guy comes
thing
down.
cold by putting water on it,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't explode.
Okay,
The dish.
anyway, thanks a lot.
Well, there was a tank, there's a storage tank, it's probably still there next to the road, an old storage tank, and that had gas in it. The guy come down from Worcester, he knew where the shut-off was.
Yeah,
Eddie Pierce, he worked for the
Yes,
gas company.
yes,
Yeah, remember him?
yeah, yeah.
And he used to drive truck for Middleton Orchards and Hudson Hall Apples. And what's his name, lives down the house down below there, Albie's friend.
Yes.
There's a house on Boone Road, right back of the gas ball. Albie, remember that guy in there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, a good friend of yours.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
Yeah, and
Who the hell was that, Ellie?
I forget his name, but I'll
he's
never
still there
forget him.
today.
You still there?
Rebel said, "You all better go back in the house."
He
Yeah.
wanna come down and show the rebel how to plow snow one day. And
Yeah, two of them houses down, put up new ones now.
Billy Murphy,
They put new houses up in there now.
Billy Murphy, they went to come along to pick up one day. Billy Murphy was out with a gas ball where they used to park in front, starting to dig. He wanted to put a fence up. And I stopped and I said, you know what's in there? There's a tank in that ground. Last I knew, I don't think they took it out. It might have gas in it. Well, how do you know? I said, Billy put right there. I said, I'd listen to him. I said, you better call Commonwealth Gas. I don't think they owned it at the time. I think he owned the lot. Well, they didn't tell me about it. I said, well, I'm telling you about it. What the heck was it? I can't think of his name. A friend of Albie's, I know that.
I asked Eddie what the purpose of the gas ball is. It was just to
Pressure.
compensate when everybody get up and turn their gas on and cook breakfast, and they had to use that gas to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Put the pressure up.
That was a big ball.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess it was.
We were great for the
Remember the-
country club, advertising for, it looked like a golf ball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, good advertising for it.
There was a sign next to it. I always thought it was painted on. I don't
No, I
remember.
don't think it
I
was. It
never
was
saw
separate.
anything being
I
painted
never
on
saw a
it.
sign up on the wall.
No,
Unless it was on the backside or something.
no, I was just thinking,
Is it unique, or are there other balls like that around the country?
probably back then. They don't need
I've
them.
never seen one, but.
I imagine they had them, but of course this comes from Texas now, this gas, it's pressurized somewhere else, I guess. Remember when they put the gas main in from, it came from Texas?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And there was
I've
postcards.
never seen another one of those though.
No.
No, I haven't seen
I never,
anything.
no, that was the only one I ever seen.
Postcards, there used to be postcards, didn't it? I vaguely remember seeing postcards of the gas ball.
Yeah, it was quite a,
Funny you can't find any. You see everything.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a landmark. Everybody said, when
Yeah.
it comes to store, they'd always,
Yeah.
they said, well, if you come up and you see the gas ball, you know you're up in there.
There was a school across the street from that,
There's a what?
a school, a one-room.
There was a school, I guess, at one time where the gas ball was. They bought that 9 acres of land from the town of Stowe.
No, because that was the farm. That was Mrs. Lambert's farm.
Yeah.
Across the street, all that. I used to pick the
Well, the
apples.
gas ball, there was a school there, and then down the end of Boone Road, as you turn the corner, Randall Road, there's an old foundation, there's all brick. That was a school way back, a brick schoolhouse. And then they built a brick schoolhouse up on top of where the gas ball is. They said somebody burned it down on the 4th of July
I
night.
never remember those.
I don't remember.
Well, I don't remember, it was 1928. You
Before
would-
that time.
It says
Yeah, yeah.
1928, so
It was 33.
there's pictures of it, and, in fact, I got pictures.
1928?
Yeah, they burned, it was closed. Yeah, that's what it says.
The reason,
Oh, I would be only 4 years old, so I wouldn't know.
You weren't thinking of school yet. What's that building?
the reason that I did understand why they built that gas ball round. The reason they built it round like this is if they built it square, the pressure from the gas would be pushing,
In the corner.
like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
and they built it round so the pressure wouldn't, and they built that gas ball there to build up the pressure for maintenance.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's,
That's a
the way
main,
I understood
that was a
it.
main trunk all the way
Yeah.
down.
You remember the time we ripped that gas, the feed off the gas down below Dwindles' house when they put in drainage in, we ripped that,
Yeah.
that thing right out of that 8-inch
Yep.
main, boy,
Yeah.
that gas was coming out of
And he
there.
was there, he says,
He never
Take-
marked it.
he said, take one more bucket full out, now come the pipe.
Yeah, the gas guy was there,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy was there.
yeah.
He's the one that said, okay, yeah, take one more bucket full, up come the gas pipe.
Ripped it right out of the main.
Excuse me, Lou?
Oh, there's another question I've got,
Mine again.
right next to the gas bulb.
Huh?
I'll try.
Oh, wait, let me put it. Okay.
See,
That's
the,
what-
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
the trolley line that went from,
Thank
that went by, the gas bulb, that went by that area.
He didn't go by there.
Yeah.
It had trouble getting up over Birch Hill, and so they had to go through the woods and around it.
Yep.
The question is, why didn't it just go on Gleasondale Road, which doesn't
Well, that's
have
the
that
hill
hill?
they had trouble with, Hershey's Hill, well, they used to call that hill going to Gleason, Hershey's Hill. And they couldn't make that because they didn't have power enough in the power station in Maynard, where St. Cashmere's Church is, that was a power station. And I think there was 2 trolleys over this way or something, they didn't have the power, they figured to go up the hill, so it goes up Whitman Street, through the woods,
Right.
and the lower part of the arch came out on Sudbury Road.
Okay,
Down, you know where 12 Trees is? The old place of the sun?
Yeah.
Just a ways down, on Sudbury Road toward Gleasondale.
yeah, they took
Before the
out,
barn, yeah, before the barn.
they took out some
It
track
went-
recently.
Yeah, it went down,
Yeah.
and they didn't have to climb that hill.
But doesn't Gleasondale Road skirt the hill too?
No.
Doesn't seem
No,
like
you
there's
got
any big hill.
you got the hill, you got quite a hill going into Gleasondale on 62.
Okay,
You've been over it.
I've never noticed a hill there, I know Birch Hill.
You got-
Johnny,
Whitman has a big hill.
Yeah,
Johnny.
well, it ain't quite as steep as that, it's quite long, and it comes down, Sudbury Road comes out here, and the hill comes in, and you got the curves there by the Kirk and the big yellow house there, it goes up, it's quite a hill, it's pretty steep.
Johnny, didn't the tracks used to go in,
The what?
Whitman Street goes off, Gleasondale Road, did the tracks used to go right in there, that corner?
Yeah, a little ways up past Richie Collins' house
Yeah, right in
there.
that area, right
They just pulled some of them tracks up.
On Sudbury Road, yeah, I
This
guess.
summer,
it-
because when I was mowing, they were working down
Yeah.
there, and I went up to mow the side of the road, because they wanted to get that
They
done
left the
before they
rails
pulled.
in there too, not the tractor rails one time, we ripped them out of there, because it was, gee, it was all washboardy there
Yeah.
on Sudbury Road. And,
It seemed like going through the woods,
there's not much of a grade there, really.
and that's why I'm confused why there wasn't the same for Gleasondale Road, but
Well, you go down Gleasondale Road, and you'll see that steep hill coming into Gleasondale, it's pretty high, right starting where the gas ball is actually, go down, it's quite a hill
Coming
there.
from Hudson Way, you'll notice it,
Yeah,
because you'll notice. you're
Especially in the
climbing.
wintertime, you notice it.
yeah,
Because it's always jammed up, they never make it up the hill.
yeah.
well, just Treaty Elm Lane was all part of that story.
Well, I heard they signed an agreement there
Yeah.
somewhere about where the tracks were going through
Yeah.
the woods there. Apparently somebody that lived there or something,
No,
where it went through the woods, they signed a lease for
Somebody
the,
said they sat on that big tree right in front of the
a
house.
lease
Right.
for the trolley line to go through there.
You and Doug and I think your brother Howard there, we took it down.
Yeah, yeah,
We should have
saved a piece of it.
saved a piece of it.
Well, that tree down by Manos on the end of tree, that the one?
No, this is
That was
right on
bigger,
the
that was
corner.
bigger, that was 7 feet 6 inches through the butt, I remember the state took that down. That's quite a tree.
Right by Louis Steller's.
That's what we were told.
Yeah, down the corner, but this
Louis
was,
liked-
this was
Louis
bigger,
liked to
right
play the horses.
right across from,
Louis used to
Rising
like to play the
House.
horses.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he did pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
He was a big,
Yeah,
Yeah, big, yeah.
he was a baker, I think.
yeah,
this weekend, though.
Down,
They'll start taking the blacksmith shop apart.
L.A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna move that before the end of the month.
We used to have some rings that Peter Larson was big for me with his kids. Remember, he'd go in there, he'd make a ring out of horseshoe for you.
yeah, Nancy moved down with a low-income housing
Yes, yeah.
on the right-hand side.
Yeah, coming back there.
Along with, the Finn guy's name lived in there too. And I think his daughter, who was right across the street,
What was that?
oh, what the hell was his name? Her name, or his name? John would know. He worked on the highway.
Oh, on the table?
Oh, on a
Yeah.
table, yeah.
Table.
Oh, one of the tables, yeah.
Hands.
Yeah,
Yeah. There was what, 3 or 4 brothers?
yeah.
Yeah, right. There was
No.
Suchi and.
Suchi was the
yeah,
youngest, he was the head.
Yeah, and,
Oh, he was
there's a
the,
whole bunch of them.
Fat,
Yeah,
he
Ellie,
was the
Yeah.
hot, Suchi was the hot
Wally.
ticket.
Wally, yeah.
Wally was, well, yeah.
He was the one that lived by himself down in a little house.
No,
Yeah.
that was Ellie.
Yeah.
No, that was El.
Was that? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that was the other.
Wally is, had 2 or 3 girls.
Yeah. I had,
No, he had 2 boys.
back during the war.
Yeah.
Hands at
He
the
had a
girls.
brand new
Yeah,
bike.
twins, what they,
Yeah, beautiful bike. And he wanted $50 for that, you know. And gee, $50 back then, a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I said to my mother, oh, I like that bike. She said, oh, I can't afford
Who
to
was
buy
that,
it.
Suchi?
Yeah, so I worked for Mrs. Lambert up here, picking apples. I worked for Peter Larson and Smith and them. I worked like crazy. I finally got that $50 and I went down and got it, yeah. I got it off of
Did you
him.
work for Peter too?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
good guy
yeah.
to work for.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
He
like-
was a nice fellow.
Yeah.
Peter was a good guy.
Gentleman.
He was a hell of a good guy.
Did all you guys work for the blacksmith with?
you know, I worked at his orchard, picking apples in his orchards.
Yeah, used to pick apples
Pick
off.
apples for him in the orchards.
Put them in a stone building.
Remember his grandson, Callback? Rusty Callback? He used to live there. His
Yeah.
father was in the Navy, when he was up
Yeah.
at sea,
Yeah.
him and his brother would live with Peter.
I remember going up there with my grandfather too. In the end, he used to have a lot of pigeons
Yeah.
up there. And he'd take them, blow in their throat so they would all jump.
And chickens there too.
Right.
Yeah, I worked up there quite a while in the summer for him. Then
Yeah, I always worked.
I worked down
at
at Smith's Farm down there. He was pretty good. He used to get $1 a week out of there, you know.
Big money. That was big money back
Well,
then.
you know what's good? When I worked for Mrs. Lambert,
Yeah.
and I remember Dickie Herron.
Herrick, yeah.
Herrick. He was he ran the place up there. So
Yeah.
he said to me one day, he said, "You would come up and work for me." He said, "I'll give you 50 cents an hour." I said, "Yeah, all
Wow.
right." So I went up. I worked, I work all one summer.
Yeah.
50 cents an hour. That was good money.
In them days, yeah.
Yeah, and so then, the next year, he comes to me, "You gonna come back?" I said, "Well, I don't know, He said, "I'll tell you what," he says, "you come back," he said, "I'll give you 75 cents an hour."
Wow.
And he says, "You do all the tractor work and all that." He says, "Haul the apples in and all the brush around and all this and that." He says, "And if you work like after school and Saturdays and stuff." I said, "Yeah, all right, for 75 cents, I'll do it." That was good money, boy.
Yeah.
Mrs. Lambert would be sad to you, go up there and see you really old money right out there. She was a nice lady, real nice lady.
She was the head of the Red Cross for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Was she a nurse?
She lived
really?
right across
I
from
don't know.
Peck's.
Huh? No, she lived right across the farm. They had the big barn, the apple storage, everything on that side.
And
And she had, we used to pick apples all the way down Gleasondale Hill there.
Yeah.
Along the side there, back then.
The house was up on the knoll there.
It was
still
way up
there.
on the top,
Yeah.
big house. Nice.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
with
Blue
you
Road,
now.
Blue Road.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
You
with
lived,
you
you
now.
lived down by Robert Everett, $5 Paul.
Huh?
You lived down by Robert
Oh,
Everett,
yeah,
$5 Paul.
yeah. Hey, we used to go there, we haying, right? And so,
Where was that?
the Smiths.
Smith,
yeah.
And,
Robert Everett, Bishop Philip $1 Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They would be in there and Freddie, Freddie
Could
would
you spell that?
And we'd go in, and he was gonna give us supper, because we're gonna do some more haying after supper, so,
Oh,
okay.
Smith's.
So we go in there and he gives us, crackers and milk, right?
Oh, that's-
We have a big bowl of crackers and milk for supper. So then he comes out with a cake, and he cuts us a little sliver, right?
Yeah.
Of cake, so we get it. So he goes out of the room, and Gator says, "God damn it, give me that knife!" He grabs the knife, he whoops the cake right off. I said to him, "Boy, we're gonna get really shot when he gets back." Oh, he was something else. So, yeah.
How about that dummy you used, the guys used to lower under the tree, out of the tree?
Yeah,
Yeah, in front of Gavis's house.
Was
Were
it?
you with him?
Yeah, we used to,
He's the only one left
we
out.
made a man one time, we hung him up the neck, with Halloween.
So
We're old, as soon as the cars come by, we let him go, he'd go and sing out, he'd just top of the cars, you know? Well, it seems as though this pickup would come along, a whole load of kids in the back, and we let it go, and he put the brakes on, the kids were climbing up, they called the police on us, we went like a son of a gun down through the back of Becky's and everything. Then the police after us, they couldn't find us.
No kidding.
Peter probably come after you.
I was trying to make it.
This picture, the one from the right here, that's, is that the Lower Village Green?
Which one?
The second from the right.
Oh, that one there, that's the
Old
old,
village.
that's the old,
Monticello place.
you know, Warner Taylor, Lords used to live there. Jack Lord, I think, was
Yeah.
born there.
Is
I think
this a picture that we have of
Yeah,
the fireman?
that's a good picture of it.
Is that-
Remember the lawn parties they used to run down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used
Oh,
to, your
yes.
father used to
Yeah.
get behind a
Yeah.
canvas and used to try to hit him in the head with a
With a ball.
softball and you
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
hit him.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They used to have a boxing ring down there and everything.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
used to be quite a
His
time.
father used to
Yeah.
get, you get, I forget what the prize was.
Got a box
Put
of
his head
candy.
through a canvas, you throw a ball at it and it goes up.
Hey, he'd blacken his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
Put a little
with
thing on
a
his head there.
softball, or the-
Boom, more cars there than
you
people.
couldn't hit him, he was quick.
Yeah,
What'd you get, a quarter for hitting him or something? Or
yeah, it was good.
What is
You
this?
I
remember-
remember going in the rink, he used to run the rink and we used to fight.
What is
I
this?
remember
for the-
we, and if you won, you got a box of chocolates one time.
I can't
Oh,
put
yeah?
And this
what
kid
you're
from Maine to
doing
get in the
over
rink
there.
with me. That was
Well, that, or I don't remember.
Yeah, he
No,
used to
remember
wrestle a
Ringo,
lot.
You know,
Yeah,
those
right.
big
This is
left-
Red Acre Road, right?
That's
Right,
correct. That's,
Puffin
Red
Place.
Acre Road.
Place, yeah.
I
Remember
can't
the old
say
path that
I
goes
buy.
back before.
Remember the little road by the house there that came by, Warner Taylor?
And Puffer's house used to be, what the hell did they call it, when they shipped the colored people up from
Oh, yeah,
down
Underground
south?
Railroad.
They used to hide in the
Yeah,
Puffer's
Underground
cellar,
Railroad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the underground railroad.
Underground
Yeah.
Railroad.
My grandfather's old house had a place inside the
Yeah.
closet. There's a door you could open up and you could go inside the chimney.
Yeah.
Used to-
Yeah.
If anyone told me.
Then it showed one from back down to Concord.
Lower Village. Maybe Frankie recognized that. He's a Lower Village guy.
That was after the war, they run them.
Yeah, make it
You
up.
got, you got some more of those pictures I let you take?
Yeah, let's see it.
I haven't,
Those some light picture really, Laura one time.
I haven't enlarged these
Yeah,
yet, but
you're gonna enlarge them, but, there's a picture of Al
Oh,
Hatch
okay,
in that
this is
one.
the
Oh,
corner.
he actually.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's the old one, it's called Old House, I
That's
think.
the Lower Village Common.
I said
Oh,
they're
yes,
calling
I do.
about traffic in Lower Village today, I look at it back in 47, there's
Yeah.
traffic there already then. That was an old hand pumper from some town, I forget what it was. Now, who ran the band, Gene, you remember, was that Stone from, Sudbury? Stoney?
That's why I say that, I don't think that's on that whole common.
Yes, it is.
No, it did.
Yeah, small.
I can't place the buildings.
No, I can't place the building as far as the
No,
whole
that's the
common.
barn, that's Warner Taylor's barn, that red building.
Right.
This building here,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right back of the
fell
house.
Off the road.
that looks like, that place there looks like the,
There's a small picture of that somewhere there.
I can't think the name of it.
That's all.
Warner Taylor,
What's
You
the
know,
occasion here, Jody?
Huh?
What's the occasion here, the
The,
band?
the fire
that?
department had a lawn
Right.
party.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Remember those?
yes, I remember now.
There's the original.
It-
Yeah.
Down
The
farther
Stowe Fire
was,
Department. That's
the
Carol's
Crow's
writing
house.
even. Marguerite gave me
Then
them.
up this way used to be remember the big house?
yes,
The
I
kid,
forget the lady's
Oh.
name.
the kid went
That's
to
how
school
we had
with us.
today, they said.
Who?
The kid went to school with us.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool, that's cool house.
Lamping.
Yeah.
Lamping.
Yeah.
That's what this one is.
Lampilla, not lamping, and that was a little
Lamp-
different,
yeah.
Well, I can't remember that barn.
That was in the back of
Yeah.
the house. You just have to go the back of the house to get to it. The driveway goes up back. You know Brown's house up there, the old house?
Yeah,
And then it used to be Stewart's house, and then Alice Eaton's house, and then
Yeah.
then the.
can you know, Jimmy, that's so, I can't replace that
She had
barn.
a nice house. Oh,
No, that's
Prince
one of
Grace
the
and
old-
more.
Still there,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one there they made into
That's the
condos.
house.
He,
Take that barn down, John.
That, oh, I think it mostly fell down.
Used to be.
I think it came
Corn
down
belt
when
back
they
there, we used
sold
to
it.
ice skate in the
I mean, they
winter.
took it down.
yeah, still up
Shoemaker.
there. Back of the
There's a
store.
shoemaker
Yeah.
lived, they still
Yeah, the
do.
shoemaker
Yes,
lived,
yes,
but that-
yes.
That's Red Acre Road,
Yep.
this side.
So they go going down that way.
Yeah, and then that front of, the other front of the house, there's a road there, that's that little, remember the road used to come out next to the
Right.
house?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's that.
Who's the police officer? Judge Stokes?
I have no idea.
Could be. He was
Yeah.
a.
Looks a little too skinny for him, and he was stocky. And
That's the Crow's
Hands.
house there.
Hans was telling me a story one time, he was in there milking with his father in that barn, and they kept the chain across up above, Dudley.
Huh?
The Warner Taylors, they had quite
Yeah.
a few cows there. They kept the chain across, Whitney used to live out back,
Back,
where
yeah.
Brown, yeah. They kept the chain across the driveway so the cows wouldn't go up there. He said he was in there milking with his father. So it goes back some. He says, this guy walks in the door, he looked familiar, and he wanted to know if that house was for sale. And that was the oldest house in Stowe, which it still is today. And introduced himself, he was Henry Ford.
Oh, for good sake.
And he had a Lincoln, the chauffeur, and said, I don't think the old man will sell it. He said, I was gonna take the chain down. No, he said, you keep milking. And he explained how a wonderful invention the milking machines were, and talked about them. So he said, they stopped, and old Henry put the chain back up. He said, it wasn't long, down they come, dirt flying, dust flying. The old man probably threw him out of there. Get out of here.
Well, there used to be a tavern across the street where Erklin's, before, like by Erklin's thing, garage.
That used to be a little garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the little,
Little building there, it was like a tavern.
Little gas
But
station.
that was a tavern up behind there too.
way back.
Way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they
Tavern
cut
That
all
was a
the,
big farm way back.
Tavern down the state road, by Gurley's, right?
those earlies down there, at,
Yeah.
right on White Pond.
White Pond Road,
The
yeah.
cellar hole was still there last I knew. Somebody argued with me one time, and I said, this old guy that, he was a stable hand in there back in the 1880s maybe, he was 13 years old, old Bill Gilroy.
Oh,
Remember
that's nice.
him?
You worked there?
Yeah, he worked there. There was 3 floors of the building, and as I get a little tip, he says, I go up on the 3rd floor, because that's where all the fun was.
The house of Bill Cute, that's.
Huh?
That's the house of Bill Cute.
Yeah.
Well, the one at Taylor's used to be where Whiting's milk used to come out from Boston and pick up all the farmers' milk.
Hans drove for
Tommy
Whiting.
Zander.
Yeah, Tommy Zander, right.
You had to keep the track of that.
yeah, that is, oh, yeah.
Tommy Zander. Yes,
Hey, now, Jimmy, how could
you
you
worked for
remember?
Whiting.
Remember over the country
Retired,
club?
yes.
We call them pussyfoot clocks,
Yes.
but didn't he also kill his wife?
Yes, he did.
It's
Yeah.
like telling him you.
He made,
something about
he
it.
made candy over there for a while.
Right, but he did that and he,
Said 2 brothers on the candy wrap, and there must have been another brother.
right.
What you call it, mother used to do the catering over there, Jackie Maycomber's mother,
Yeah.
when they first had the country club over
Yeah.
there. She did the catering all the time over there.
I remember them calling him pussyfoot clocks.
Yeah,
and he seemed like a timid guy.
Yeah.
You never could believe he killed his
Yeah.
wife.
You talking about who you call, where Quinn used to live in Bradley Lane?
No,
Oh,
no, over at the country club.
oh.
Well, Freeland George told me he worked for actually Cox. The old man Cox owned the Worthmore Grain Company. This guy's father. You remember the Worthmore Grains?
Yeah.
And he built that golf course for his servants, because they wouldn't let the the black people play where you need them or where it was, so he started this. And Gordon Johnson, he worked down the post office, he still lives there on the corner of Boone Road. From Maynard. He said, I worked for Old Man Cox. He said, I managed all the stores in New England for him. And they told him that post office work was hard work. He said, I used to lug 100-pound grain bags all day. He said, this ain't nothing. And he was an awful good guy, the old man to work for. And Freeland George told me he ran that farm across the street for the old man Cox. And he left it in the will when he died that he had first choice in buying that farm. He was gone and he bought it and they tried to break the will. But that barn that's across the street today is a barn across the country club. And he had a barn that looks similar to the back of his house. It's gone now. He said, I cut that barn in half. I was going to move that whole barn over. You never got around to it. That's the one I have is half of that barn, and the one country club, that's where it belonged. And he said, I got the place, and he said, we used to raise. He said, and the old man, he said, for a few years I raised chickens and stuff for him for the outings there and so forth. But he said, I quit everything there. Now the Pages bought them out again, and
Used to have outdoor bowling alleys over there.
yeah, I remember them. I remember 'em. I don't remember anybody using them. They were up where the parking lot is.
Yeah.
Out to one alley. Yeah, I remember that.
That's right.
That picture there, that shed, it was torn down. There used to be a chicken house that went toward Maynard on the end of it. I think Suchi tore that down. There's a newer building there today. I don't think that's the one that's shown in the picture.
Well, the chicken houses used to be a low one
Yeah,
facing the old house.
yeah. There was
All right.
one in,
To the right, there was a little chicken house,
Yeah.
but it's still there, and it's pretty long.
yeah, well, that,
They made a
he
house.
tore that down. That's a new building going toward Maynard.
That's the one with the garage doors on it.
Yeah, that's a new
Yeah, I
building.
remember they built that.
So
Yeah.
DEP is calling.
You know Whistler Peanuts?
Did you say the-
Huh?
You know who Whistler Peanuts was?
Oh, yeah.
Whistler.
Whistler Peanuts.
Oh,
He said,
Yeah.
come over here and catch it.
How could he whistle? Throw a peanut in his
built my
mouth.
Huh? Did he? Yeah.
right on, he lives right on the corner.
We've got a picture of a bound with Sudbury that has
So,
an S on it that's backwards.
that's Stowe
Yeah.
and Maynard.
Anybody have any idea why? it's
Yeah,
backwards?
I'll tell you who did that.
I don't know.
Nolan White. Nolan White.
Roland did it? I don't remember who did it. My picture
Nolan
of
White
that.
did it, and he's up in the Maiden, went up in the Derby's Orchard, I think it one was.
Well, let me,
And when he put it in, he was standing up like this, facing down.
Well,
Well, it looked right to him, because it was, you know,
no, well, we put it in right there, right there. And Baskey from Maynard, he was on the Blackman.
okay.
Was it him or the car? I don't remember. Somebody carved it backwards
that was
anyway.
Nolan White, and I'll tell you, he was upside down like this, so it looked right to him, but he was bent over like that. It was just-
Because we were just
He was
up and marked
sleeping at
that a
that
month
time.
ago. They had it in the wrong place at first. Jack
Did they?
says, "That don't belong under that apple tree." He says, and I knocked it out. It goes up there. He says, it don't belong there. Derby knocked it out. I guess the bulldozer, when he dozed that orchard, they finally got it set.
Russell Lawrence worked for the highway?
Who?
Russell
Russell,
Lawrence?
yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah, he
that.
worked for a while.
There were some houses where the bound went right through them. Cut the house in half or the property.
The property, yeah, there's one in, the last house on West Acton Road. Half is Acton, I
It
think.
still is today, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, at least their line is one that's half
Yeah.
stolen.
Right in, Maynard, the line, Erickson's house.
Yeah.
John Erickson's house.
Yeah.
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 Well, they resurveyed that when they put that build in, and because magnetic north fluctuates, and when them bounds originally set, it's different. The line is different today than it was back then. So they resurveyed that from that bound there to the ammo dumps and the railroad track down there. It's a good bound. And it moved that line, I think it was 39 feet toward Maynard. You go on 117, going to Maynard, where it says town line, you look down, there's a granite marker up against that wall in front of that house where Henry used to live.
Right.
That is the actual town bound.
I forgot to.
We're on the angle this way.
Yeah, they're not right angles, but that,
Well, John Erickson, I mean, yeah,
it
Erickson.
used to be through Stoltz's house, John Erickson's house, I guess.
He took a bedroom,
Yeah,
because Norman could go to Maynard School,
Yeah.
living at that house. Because
Well, the one on the right
Well,
there
the-
on
you
Hastings
don't
Street's
go
the same
house.
way.
Yeah.
If you went,
Because,
straight out of ways, you couldn't have made it, wouldn't you?
Johnson lived on the
Michael
corner. There was-
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have gone either way.
What's his name lived in there last
Back
night?
again.
He does
Superintendent of Streets in Boxell.
It was all, his
No, yeah,
house
he's
was
there
filled
now.
with all stuff.
He's
Was it?
gone.
Yeah.
Huh?
He's gone. He's up in Vermont somewhere.
Oh, the guy that's running the box roll, he still lives down there.
No, he was running the highway department in Box Road.
That's right, he still lives there.
No, he's gone. They got a new superintendent a couple of years ago. Now, what's his name?
Jesus,
Bill
I
used
just
to
saw his
talk-
truck the other day.
What was
It
that?
said
He
box
might-
roll on it.
He might have been down there, but he's not around.
Yeah?
He,
Yeah, matter of fact, that's
he's a fire chief and highway superintendent of some town in Vermont on
Oh, yeah?
vacation now. What the,
Because
Kenny?
this guy took it after Morse left.
Yeah, he was a
The
foreman.
young guy, he was a foreman.
Big heavy set guy.
Yep, yep.
I used to go by and toot, but I thought I saw the box, I couldn't have, because he wouldn't have anything to do with it. I thought I saw the box for pickup go by the other day.
Geez, I'm positive he's still.
No, he's not there.
No?
He's been gone a couple of years. What's his name? Kenny
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Mash or some, nice guy.
Yeah.
He got a good job up country and he took off. That house is all in Stowe now, because the line went
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it used to be.
Gay,
Yeah.
Frank Gay, was it Frank Gay, or was this, you know the Gays, Phil?
That guy
Well,
still
Plumbers,
lives
I
there that
think, the
worked
old
in
man was.
Boxwell.
They lived down,
That's what he's just
Oh,
saying.
the
Shore
Hastings
Avenue.
Street.
Shore
Sure,
Avenue.
right.
You know,
well, the line, their property was all mixed up. And they were getting 2 tax bills and so forth. They wanted that line run, which put them in Maynard.
Right.
You know, they were partly in Stowe or something before, I don't know what it was. But they made a mark on the old bridge, there was a drill hole on it, on this side. Now, when the town, 1929, they put that bridge in, state, county, and town. Stowe paid 1/6 of the bill, because 1/6 was in Stowe, and the other, whatever the share was, and 5/6 was in Maynard. And today, it's the opposite, because the line changed. So it puts most of that bridge in Stowe. Now, when they put a new bridge in, one of the selectmen had told present highway superintendent, make sure they save that drill hole. It's gone.
Hey, I gotta go use it.
But across the,
You need both, boy. You need both.
it's all working down there, it's got good, I made sure of that. And, it's, across the bridge, there's a line, there's a marker there, Albie knows what it is.
Yeah, right over the bridge on the right.
Yeah, it's still there, but there was a drill hole in the bridge on the railing on this side, the son of a gun, they didn't watch the contractor,
Yeah,
they took it out of there.
huh,
That means they'll have to survey,
yeah,
if they ever
Yeah.
need it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It don't really mean much, the corner bounds are all right, but,
They put Roger Gay in Stowe, and the line runs right back of his house.
yeah.
Yeah, right down to
He's the one that really brought it to our attention. He said, hey, let's
Yeah.
straighten this out.
Yeah.
And they made a survey through there, and I like that one at Doug Treffry's.
I was gonna say,
Now, that's a road bound.
Yeah.
They're not in place anyway, usually, where they should be.
Yeah.
The corner bounds are the ones, and that's off. I
Yeah.
put Doug in box road when they resurveyed it. Now,
Yeah.
they had hit, when Flag Hill was a corner bound,
Yeah.
when they put the telephone cable in, the bulldozer hit the bound, knocked it off.
Yeah.
It's pretty high. You were up there when we marked it, and that's a straight line right into Lincoln. All the
Yeah.
towns are tied into it. So they would have to survey all the way into Lincoln to set that thing. But they did find ties to it on North Scott Mountain was one, and one was somewhere else, I forget where. They brought it in with computer.
Yeah.
That's how they said it.
The
And,
meeting is, I believe, about.
now that's what, 56 feet, I think, or something like that. I can't think of the footage off. And I am missing 56 feet of land in the corner down there on the other end of the road. You suppose years ago, the farmer moved that pound up? Huh? I mean, you could have done it.
Yeah.
Dig it up some night and won't say anything. And I'm missing that same amount of land. On my, I look at the old deeds, that was off up there. So, what are you gonna do, you know?
I know she loved.
That point down there, corner of my land, actually, one of the deeds shows we owned it. And that's the same distance. Oh, we didn't own it, whoever lived there. That's the old Dudley place, the old Dudleys. Roy's grandfather used to live there, across the street. Did you know that, the old Dudley place? Frank?
No, well, the one here up here by the library, yeah, I know that, but
No, across from me on West Acton Road where the bed and breakfast is.
no, I don't.
No, that was the old Dudley place, way back, yeah. Old Joe Dudley lived there.
Smuchers lived there for a long time.
Huh?
I remember Smuchers living there.
Well, yeah, on the
Yeah,
big
I
house,
remember
then he built the other. You
They
know,
had the
Elby.
fire over there.
Yeah, that-
Oh, yes. I was going home that night, the lunch, and I heard them pounding in the in the barn. Well, I was going in and see Frank, what the hell they were doing. But I went home, and I lived with Jimmy
Right.
Lund. And I got home, and I just get in the bed. Fire whistle blew.
Look any water, yeah.
So I pulled on my pants, put on my shirt, ran back up the hill. The thing was on the ground.
I gotta take
The
some.
barn.
Uphill.
I think myself it was arson.
Well, that's what Frank said, the insurance adjuster thought it was arson, but he said, I said, I don't.
Yeah.
And he says, they settled with him.
I'll never forget that one.
Jeannie,
I was telling him about the place across from me is the old Dudley place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Frank didn't know it.
Exactly, he says his grandfather worked like hell moving that stone wall, so you get a little bit of land there. You see where it come down.
You know, my father bought that corner from your father and your uncle and Mrs. Tatler.
Yeah.
Originally, they owned it.
Yeah,
They had already sold the farm.
And Warren stole the land.
Yeah, they sold it, I guess, I don't know.
Stole part of it.
Up on the old road,
She had expressed her.
it goes to Annie Moore Road in Bolton, it goes through the old stump orchard.
Mhm.
That was the old original, I think, the road to Lancaster. Yeah, that's the old Lancaster Road. And you look at the stone wall going up there.
Okay, I can
Yeah,
email her.
and,
You want her to have a sign?
There's supposed to be a mound up there somewhere, I was told, but
Okay.
we've never been up the market. I'm gonna do it this time, this fall, that's what he said. And just for the heck of it. I guess you could think of the marking that one in Shirley too. The mound in Shirley is the corner of Stowe, Lancaster, and Groton. on the Stowe Lake one up there. It's in the woods up in Shirley. I've seen a picture of it, but I've never seen it. Dawn,
Is there any more road go all the way through right up to where Bill Pierce used to live there? When he,
yeah, it comes out on,
goes all the way up the boat,
on
right?
Long Hill Road, and then the other end just, comes on Old Bolton Road.
Yeah.
The CD owned all that land up
Yeah,
through there anyway.
all that orchards up to there.
And, the Lancaster, that was probably Bolton at the time. And, if you look at that old road, up Old Bolton Road, and comes up Crescent Street, and White Pond Road, and goes the ammo dump, and what's the name of it in Maine? It did the ammo dump, still dirt. The stone walls are 4 rods apart, which is 66 feet. And that's what they laid those roads out back them days.
Yep.
So you measure the wall, they went down Whitney Street originally, but somebody must have narrowed it a little bit.
Why don't we just go around and give your name and what your age is?
Yeah, John Mackey, I'll be 78 next birthday soon.
I'm Phil Ineson, and I'm 79.
Gene Wells, I'm 83. Just turned 14th.
Old enough to vote.
Coming up July 23rd, I will be 87.
No kidding.
Frank Jensen, Nick, this August, I'll be 86.
Roy Dudley, and I'm 77, be 78 in February.
I'm Lou Halprin, and I haven't figured out what I am yet.
You're 77.
77 going on
See, I told you.
50 or something.
Yeah.
I thank you for coming.
That looks really good. Ooh, okay. Yep, yep. You guys wore out your smiles. You were laughing for 2 hours here now. All right.
You're not telling jokes.
Oh, these are wonderful. Is it possible?